Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Lionel, class of 2009. Back with another episode of TV versus everybody. And listen, as VP say, we getting spoiled this week. Listen, I told y'all we getting back to it. I told y'all we getting back to it. We own it. No games being played. All right, we back in the building. We getting revved up. SWAC Media Day is coming in July. I told y'all we coming. All right, I told y'all we coming. And listen, we got to talk about this ESPN schedule that the SWAC dropped. But you already know, before I get into that, if you're not following us over on Instagram and over on Twitter, listen, make sure you follow us on all platforms. Also on TikTok as well. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you follow us on TikTok as well. You know what I mean? We everywhere. We everywhere now. All right. You know what I'm saying? The goal is 1,100 subscribers. So go ahead and like and subscribe to the video if you have not done so already. We're trying to get to 1,100 subs. We're like 10 subscribers away from 1,100. We continue to improve. We continue to grow. All right. And we're going to continue to keep pushing forward each and every single day. So if you have been enjoying the platform, if you have been enjoying the channel, you know what I'm saying, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, show some love, right? PVSPN is hilarious. PVSPN, I gotta listen. I need to put it on a shirt, okay? So, and also, you already know, man, I gotta show some love to none other than PV alumni Jeff McKissick. He's a Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. Many of us are unaware of our credit score, of our true financial standing, but listen, Jeff will help you develop a step-by-step plan to make your dream of owning a home achievable sooner than you think. So listen, don't let the fear of achieving new heights hold you back, but work with Jeff, right, so that you can have a place with your family to watch what's about to happen this fall, all right? Because listen, it's about to go down. So listen, don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow, all right? So you can be in your home tomorrow. And listen, there's a reason you need to be in your home, because you need a place to turn on ESPN2. You need a place to turn on ESPN2 so you can watch the Mighty Panthers. See, listen, all this noise and all this conversation and all this stuff that's going around, as if Prairie View A&M University ain't like that. As if we're not the ones. As if we're not the darling of the SWAC. We are the darling of the SWAC. We're the darling of the SWAC, right? First and foremost, we control this conference. You know what I'm saying? We're the one who control this conference, right? And so you got to understand, you got to know the reality of the situation, the reality of how things go down, really how things come. And so, I want to talk a little bit about this SWAC schedule. We got a couple things to get into today. We're talking about the Labor Day Classic. We're talking about the SWAC schedule. We're going to have a little more conversation about the kickoff time, the date, and all this stuff, because we got to really have a conversation, because it just feels like some of y'all are stuck in 2002. That's what it feels like. I think y'all stuck in 2002. Y'all need to realize we're living in a new era. We're living in a new day. So we're going to have a conversation about it, man. And I got a clip to show y'all too as well, because we want to have that conversation. But first and foremost, let's just look at this SWAC schedule in general. Let's just break down this SWAC schedule in general. And then also I got a clip I'm gonna pull up for you guys, because listen, you got to hear this clip. All right. I mean, you got to hear it. So I'm gonna pull it up, make sure I have it loaded and ready to go, because some stuff was said about a certain school not having more SWAC games than certain other schools. And lo and behold, Prairie View A&M University, none other than the darling of the SWAC, ends up with how many? How many ESPN games? 6 ESPN games. 6 ESPN games. more than any other school in this conference, right? More than any other school in this conference. You know why? Because we the darling of the SWAC. That's why. Because we like that. Because we the ones. It just is what it is, man. And so I just need people to understand. And that's why I said when it came out and when the conversation was happening about, oh, who had what games and all these things that was going on, I just said, listen, let's just wait for a moment, right? Let's just wait. Let's just calm down. Let's just wait until the information comes out. Because if you didn't think that Prairie View A&M University was going to have a multitude of SWAC games, you just tripping. You just tripping. You just tripping. Insane outrage today, right? You know what I'm saying? PVSP. I really like that. PVSPN. You might as well call us PVSPN. It's just what it is. It ain't ESPN anymore. It's PVSPN, especially the first 2 weeks. But let's just go through the schedule. First and foremost, you already see it. Saturday, August 29th, you got Southern versus Alabama State, of course, in that first game, that Birmingham Classic game. Obviously, Marshall Faulk, listen, it's going to be his career debut as a head coach against Alabama State, who's coming into the season feeling themselves. They feeling like they let something go, which they never had, because they've never had it. They've never done it. And so, again, this game come out. Now, last year we had a game early on against these two teams, and one team just faded the rest of the way. And so, are we going to see another two-piece, you know what I'm saying, chicken dinner, Alabama State to Southern, or Southern going to put up a fight and show that they got some fight in them to try to win more than 2 games this year? We're going to find out early on. Then you got Alabama A&M against Howard, of course. MEAC SWAC Challenge. Great game. Listen, that's going to be on ABC. And anytime you can get on ABC, anytime you can get on ABC or Fox or CBS, that's huge. So, obviously, MEAC SWAC Challenge on ABC along with the Celebration Bowl. So, that's just huge, right? So, for both of those programs, having a chance, listen, to be able to see Ted White, who many of us are familiar with down in Prairie View, he gets his debut back at his alma mater. I think that's going to be a great game. You got Quad Brown, who is coming back for probably his 8th year playing football. We have no idea. But Alabama A&M gets their quarterback back. We're going to see if Sam Shea's defense can actually move forward, or if they still stuck in the mud. Great early game there. Then you got Prairie View A&M against Texas Southern, of course, Sunday, September 6th. Labor Day Classic. ESPN 2. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. After that, right after that game, the same day, Sunday, September 6th, you got back-to-back HBCU games on national television, guys. Like, national TV, 2 back-to-back HBCU games, 2 back-to-back SWAC games. Got South Carolina State, defending Celebration Bowl champions, coming in against a revamped FAMU. And then you keep it going, obviously. Grambling versus Prairie View A&M. That's going to be the State Fair Classic. And we see the State Fair Classic continues to get picked up because, listen, it's a great atmosphere. It's a great game. A lot of things going on. Al Wash knows what he's doing. I mean, we need to take a note from Al Wash's book, to be honest, for some other stuff we got going on. He know how to market. He know how to get stuff out there. He know how to get butts in the seats, even with the TV coming, right? So you have the best of both worlds. You ain't got to have one or the other. Al Wash showed you ain't got to have one or the other. You can have both, right? You can have and, you know what I'm saying? You can have and both, not either or. And so Grambling versus Prairie View A&M. You also got Southern who's playing at Jackson State on that same day, that same Saturday. And so that's going to be the Boombox Classic. Going to be picked up on some ESPN station. Again, it's to be determined. ESPN has a lot of flex options. Typically, a lot of these games are going to be on ESPN Plus. I would hate if it get picked up by ESPNU. I think ESPNU is where games go to die. I almost prefer it be on Plus, to be honest. So then you got FAMU at Jackson State in October. Follow that up by Alabama A&M and Alabama State. Talking about that Magic City Classic. Obviously, last year it didn't go Alabama A&M's way, and so we're gonna see if Alabama State can keep that streak together. Can Alabama A&M climb up and get a win in that game, which would be huge in their conference? We're talking about conference standings and what they're trying to do to push forward and really be a true contender out east. Man, that's a huge game for them. After that, you also got the Jackson State at Alabama State game. That's going to be a big one. We saw how that one ended last year. We just talked about that the other day when we looked at the top plays from the SWAC. Saw Jackson State stopping Alabama State on the goal line stand in order to win that game. Then following that game, you got Jackson State at Alcorn. You got Prairie View at Alabama State. I think that one has another opportunity to probably be flexed up. Again, I feel like any of these games that get flexed up probably going to be ESPNU. But listen, if it get pushed up to ESPN2 and your boys got 3 games on ESPN2 in 1 year, that would be crazy. But, I feel like these games that could get flexed up probably going to end up on ESPNU. And then, obviously, the last game is FAMU at Bethune-Cookman, which was a great game last year, right? Great game last year. FAMU at Bethune-Cookman on ESPN Plus. And, of course, on ESPN2, you got the SWAC Championship and then the Celebration Bowl on ABC, right? So, again, yeah, you talked about ESPN pillage every good game in the SWAC. Listen, every game, every marquee game for sure. Marshall Faulk's first game, ESPNU, right? You know what I'm saying? You talk about, obviously, SWAC Me at Challenge. Listen, Prairie View and TSU, listen, that game was crazy last year. Close game. It ain't going to be that close this year, but it was a great game. SWAC TV did numbers. Oh, it was the opening game, opening weekend, a marquee primetime game for SWAC TV that week. Did numbers. Obviously, you knew ESPN's like, nah, we ain't letting that happen again. We got to go and swoop in and take that off your shoulders. You got South Carolina State going to FAMU. This, of course, FAMU got Quinn Gray coming in his first time, right? Playing and coaching D1 against the Celebration Bowl champions and the Orange Blossom Classic, right? We already know Orange Blossom Classic does a great job promoting that. Then again, you got the State Fair Classic, you got the Boombox Classic, you got again FAMU versus Jackson, which has been a great game in the last few years. You also got Magic City Classic, which is just a huge game. Just talking about culturally, right? Then you also got the Jackson versus Alabama State game, which has had huge implications over the last few years. Got Jackson Alcorn, which is just a great rivalry game. And you got Prairie View and Alabama State, which both of those teams over the last few years have been contenders. And last year, that game was a marquee game that had a determining factor in who was going to go to the championship. So, and of course, FAMU and Bethune-Cookman is always a great rivalry game. Even one of the other team is doing well, the other team always have a shot, right? Same as kind of like that Jackson Alcorn State game. So you talking about a great ESPN got the boatload this year. They went and paid everything they wanted, all right, and they got it. And so great list of games here for the ESPN broadcast. Great list of games. Listen, these are the games that the SWAC wants to be on ESPN. That's the reality. That's the facts, all right? And listen, and if you're a fan, you got to be happy to talk about 3 ESPN games, and I think they had 4 games on HBCU Go 2 as well. So they're one school that obviously getting great exposure. Of course, Alabama State has 4 ESPN games here. I want to say they had 2 HBCU gay games. They getting great exposure. Jackson State with 4 ESPN games here. And then they also had, I think, 2 games on HBCU Go. They getting great exposure. So again, when you talk about the teams that are really at the top of the conference right now, right? FAMU the last few years, Jackson State, Alabama State, and of course, Prairie View A&M. With again, 6 ESPN games, by the way, 6 ESPN games total and an HBCU Go game. So you're talking about basically all of you're talking about the teams that are at the top of the conference right now all have 6 or 7 nationally televised games, whether that's through HBCU Go or whether that's through ESPN platforms. And that's exactly what you want, because you want your good ball games on TV. That's the reality of the situation. You want your good ball games on TV. You don't want these games to be where people can't find them, can't see them. That's why I'm hoping that these flex games aren't all on like ESPNU because people be having a hard time finding ESPN. This is the reality. It's easy to get it on ESPN Plus. So you want people to be able to see it, right? And see these big games. And so hopefully some of these big games get flexed into even national, an opportunity to be on national TV. But again, the later in the year you get, is the harder it's going to be when you got SEC on ESPN. We got Big Ten, network. Like, obviously, there's bigger Power 4 programs that have an opportunity to take those slots. Because, again, against some G5 games, we're going to do well. So I think they would even take some of our games even over some G5 games, depending. But, again, when you talk about those big boys, later in the year, when you got those big matchups that really start to matter, it's going to be hard to flex ESPN2 or ESPN game from the SWAC conference when you got some bigger, we got some bigger conferences. They got more eyeballs on them, in those time slots. So that's the only thing about that. But great schedule, right? Great ESPN schedule. Now, on this schedule, what we don't see, because again, I told you, Prairie View A&M University, 6 ESPN games this year. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 6 ESPN games this year. Listen, we have the most ESPN games of all the schools in the conference. This is the reality, right? So again, I know people like to make up stuff. I know they like to talk. I know they like to say things as if things are not as they are. But the reality is Prairie View A&M University, the big PV, not the little one, has the most ESPN network games than any other school in the conference. Any other school in the conference. Prairie View A&M University. That's it. That's final. But now, I heard a conversation before about the darling of the SWAC.
So Prairie View's homecoming. PV12 got that new field. They right there bragging about Zoe. So everybody gonna get to see it nice on TV.
Hey Steve, you kind of scrolled a little bit because I was about to say the darling of the SWAC only got 1 game on TV on HBCU Go.
Wait. Well, see. Okay. So first of all, that's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because you see who they looking at. Because I see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them came for the Rattlers. So let's understand. And the great words of the commissioner, commissioner, Christmas in July when the Rattlers came to town.
I'm just saying, you would like to think that the conference champion would be, a lightning rod.
That Carla. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, you would like to think that, the conference champion would be a lightning rod the following season, to really have a lot of games on television. Because I remember, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if we go back year to year, in 2021, Jack State won the SWAC. The following year, we had about 8 or 9 games on TV. Right. We won in 2022. We came back. We had about 8 or 9 games on TV. 2023, when FAMU won it, they came back. They had a lot of games on TV. FAMU's on here 4 or 5 times now. You know what I'm saying?
Hey Rocky, listen. Okay, I don't know. But I'm gonna make a Rocky, because you my guy. And man, shout out to Rocky Miller. His daughter graduated from Prairie View, man.
Congratulations to Rocky's daughter, man.
And Rocky now has to listen to her explain to him why it's great to be an HBCU alum. So
I got a question. You said they're gonna have a lot of games, so you think?
Wait.
Oh, Steve, I do. I'm gonna ask. So you think? I don't know. I hadn't seen ESPN schedule.
Let me ask my question. Let me ask my question. Go time to your question. So I want you guys to understand how the games are selected on TV. The first right of refusal is ESPN.
Yes.
The second right of refusal is HBCU Go.
Yes.
The third right of refusal is SWAC TV. So the question is, are you gonna have more games on SWAC TV or ESPN? I'm gonna make a bet with you, Rocky, that them games on SWAC TV.
So my see you took.
I just want to know that Did he win that bet or lose that bet? Somebody let me know in the chat. Did he win that bet or he lost that bet? Somebody let me know in the chat.
My thunder, Steve. Because I was about to ask Rocky, do you think PV gonna have a lot of games on ESPN? So the conference champion, they gonna carry the flag on ESPN. Do you think that's what it is? Because I can assure you, I'll be willing to place a little wager, Rocky and everybody else. I think Jack still probably have more ESPN games than the conference champion.
Oh, I like that.
Please go get your money, Rocky. Please go get your money. Matter of fact, I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Let me. This is live, right? This is live. Let me see if I can get Mr. Miller, because I want to make sure he ain't losing no money. I just want to make sure he ain't losing no money, because he say, I'm betting you that the darling of the SWAC, Prairie View A&M University, Big PV. Hey, Mr. Miller, how are you doing this evening? Hey man, I'm on live. I just was calling real quick. You they can't hear you, but I just wanted to let you know. Hey, man, did you get your money from Zoe? Because he told you that Jackson was gonna have more ESPN games than the darling of the SWAC, the great and illustrious Prairie View A&M University. I just want to make sure you got your money, because I just thought, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be a good citizen if I ain't hit a Rocky and be like, did you get your money from Zoe? Because we watching it back right now, and I just realized you should have something hitting your Cash App or your Zelle or your Venmo. I don't know what you use, but whatever you use. He owe you something from the SWAC championship too. Okay, I got you. I understand. Put it on the tab. He running a good time. Listen, all I'm trying to say is Prairie View been good to you, so keep being good to PV. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say.
On no level, and I don't mean this with no disrespect, on no level can Mississippi compete with Texas on any level, on anything. Like, that's just the reality.
This is true.
If, again, you got to think about it. I think it's probably more people in Houston than it is in the whole state of Mississippi.
Yeah, that's true. And Louisiana. That's factual. That's actual factual. That is actual factual.
So when we talking about Prairie View, I know I'm not online, but what I'm saying,
I got you on now. The people can hear you.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, this was what everybody feared in the SWAC, is that once Prairie View got that ball rolling, who gonna stop it? The only hope you got to stop the ball rolling once it gets steam rolling is FAMU. FAMU might can't, because of Florida and the depth of talent that they have in that stage. But they have other issues. I'll just put it like that. Once Prairie View gets that thing rolling, ain't nothing can stop it. Only people that can stop Prairie View is Prairie View. If they commit to football and keep a quality coach at the helm and recruit and continue to have this winning pedigree, this winning brand, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard on everybody.
Nah, I got you, man.
It ain't no way around it. But no. But you think? Let me just say this last thing. The reason why I thought that Prairie would have as many games, when you look at what happened, data matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened in the Celebration Bowl for viewership? ESPN had to notice that. That wasn't, you can't just throw those numbers away. Wasn't it the most viewed
Rocky,
since Deion?
It's the same, bro. It's the same thing I said since Deion, and Deion should have had more view. It's Deion, right? So you're talking about since Deion, the next highest viewed SWAC championship and Celebration Bowl was the one with PV in it. You can't discount that. But go ahead, because I said this before.
No, that's all what I'm saying is,
ESPN
has data to substantiate putting Prairie View in a premier position on ESPN. Now I don't know the breakdown of how many games. I don't even know that, but I know at this point, it's 3 million people in Mississippi, and it is 4 million people in the Greater Houston area, I believe, something like that, some crazy number like that. Ain't no way you know a lot of those people in Mississippi ain't Jackson State fans.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know what I know in Texas, how Texas Pride works, people will brag on Prairie View that ain't got nothing to do with HBCUs.
No, it's facts. And a lot of people said they had watched that game. A lot of people said they watched that game that don't have any affiliation with Prairie View other than the fact that they know somebody that went to Prairie View. So
yeah. So many people that said they watched that game because again, a Texas school is playing for a football championship, and everybody who know about Texas, that's when the world is right side up. When a school or a team from Texas is playing for a championship, it don't get no better than that for a Texas man. So
that's hilarious. But hey, man,
I'm gonna tune in to
brother. Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you taking my call. Hope you're having a good day. You know what I'm saying? You're in the family.
I am, man.
I just want to make sure you get your money.
The Texas team is winning against Oklahoma, so hopefully they continue to win.
Hey,
San Antonio, over OKC. All right, brother.
All right, man. Have a good day, bye. Hey, listen. That's what haven't I been saying that, y'all? Y'all done heard me say that multiple times. You can't look at the data from these multiple games and just make it seem as if it means nothing. Make it seem it mean nothing. Yeah, I mean, it's more people in Texas than Louisiana, Mississippi, of course, but that's why the data matters. That's why I said the SWAC should want Prairie View to be good. Because if you're talking about 2026, it's about media and media markets and how much money you can bring in. If you're talking about what the SWAC can do with SWAC, think about it, right? The SWAC TV, the SWAC conference office gotta be hoping that Prairie View's games against these other Texas PWI programs don't ever get picked up by ESPN. Because if you're talking about a game that can bring eyeballs to SWAC TV, just like Rocky just saying, you talk about 2 Texas schools, the amount of people that's been in those schools, I've been in contact with people for those schools, those games are going to do great numbers on SWAC TV, a free platform at that. That's why the UTRGV game was the highest viewed game. That's why the Texas Southern game was the second highest viewed game. I can guarantee you this year, the game we play against Stephen F. Austin is going to be one of the highest viewed games on the platform because of that. So the SWAC conference hopes Prairie View is good and remains good at the top of the conference, because the reality is that's beneficial. It's benefit. Listen, think about it, right? If PV beats even Tarleton State, right? Which I know most people think that's a stretch, but listen to me, right? If Prairie View beats a Tarleton State, beats a Texas Southern, right? Lose to Baylor, whatever, right? And the Stephen F. Austin game, you're talking about 2 ranked teams playing on SWAC TV. That's beneficial for SWAC TV. Because let me tell you, people who ain't got nothing to do with Prairie View and who are just probably trying to game plan for Stephen F. Austin or see what SFA got going on in the Southland Conference, all them people are going to be watching the game on SWAC TV. That's the facts. That is the facts. Bro, if Prairie View is ranked and Stephen F. Austin is ranked and that game's on SWAC TV going to be ecstatic. They're going to be happy that ESPN didn't pick that game up, didn't recognize and notice that, hey, that was going to be a big FCS game. But again, right, ESPN got a lot of stuff going on. They looking at a lot of different stuff. But for SWAC TV, the reality is Prairie View against Southland teams is huge. Why y'all think SWAC TV is telling us We ain't playing no more NAIA teams. We ain't playing no more D3 games. That ain't just for no reason. That's because the SWAC also knows your own alumni don't even watch games when you play against Lincoln and West Gate Christian and Arkansas. Your own alumni don't even watch those games. So again, they want SWAC TV wants good games on their platform. What we just said. Then we just talk about how ESPN picked up all these marquee games from the SWAC because the ESPN don't want bad games. The reality is SWAC TV don't want bad games either. That's the reality too. So guess what? SWAC TV would love for these. That's why they want us to play these schools. Because listen, and this is the thing. That's why we got to change our mindset and thought. It ain't just about us going out and getting respect, which is we should go get respect though from any other conference to say, man, we can play with anybody. But also listen, if Southern plays Nichols and it's on SWAC TV, that helps SWAC TV, which ultimately helps Southern and every other SWAC program. Because ain't they building a platform to start passing money back to the schools in the first place? So what? So no, I don't want you to go play Kentucky State. Because ain't nobody going to watch the game from Kentucky State. But if you go play Nichols, if you go play UI-Dub, if you go play UTRGV, if you go play Abilene Christian, if you go play West Florida, that's a game that not only are SWAC fans going to watch, I'm bringing other people into my platform, which brings revenue dollars into my institutions. That's going to benefit us as a whole. That's why they telling us don't play them games no more, because they ain't even trying to put them games on their own. SWAC TV ain't trying to put them games on SWAC TV. That's the reality of the situation. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm trying to say is, even for people who talking about the games and talking about, oh, this don't matter, that don't matter, it obviously matters because even the SWAC telling us don't play those games no more. And that's how you get this. That's how you get this right here. I believe Jackson State and Prairie View starts playing next year. They played, I think, the next 2 years, and then they fall off the schedule again. The SWAC made a 10-year schedule. PV and Jackson State only played 2 times in those 10 years. That ain't got nothing to do with anybody other than Jackson State and Alcorn, who was a permanent cross division game, and FAMU and Southern, who's also a permanent cross divisional game. Nobody else has permanent cross divisional games, but since those 4 programs do, it makes the schedule uneven. That's just the reality of the situation. So we don't make the schedule. The SWAC make the schedule, but those 2 games have to be there every year, right? So that's the reality. But listen, that's how you get a game like this. Why? Because listen, I've been saying this I told y'all since last year this game was going to be on ESPN. I've said that so many times. And listen, we won the SWAC championship. Now, listen, I would have loved for Tarleton State to win the FCS National Championship and for Prairie View to win the Celebration Bowl. Bro, then this game would be bonkers. This game would be crazy if both of these teams actually won the championship. If both of these teams actually won the championship, it would be even crazier. But even though these aren't 2 programs coming off of championships in their respective where they play, right, in the Celebration Bowl and the FCS playoffs, this is still a huge, high-profile matchup, bro. This is recruiting battle 1-on-1 right now. That's who we're recruiting against. They got more NIL dollar right now though, but that's who we battling with. This is Texas FCS football. And the reality is people see the trend that Prairie View is on. People know that Tarleton is on the trend. People know Tarleton State about to go FBS in a few years. Everybody know this. So this is a marquee game, marquee matchup in week 0. And listen, you know how big this game is the fact that this ain't even an FCS kickoff game. This ain't even an FCS kickoff game. And it's the week 0 game that was chosen with an HBCU in the game. Because good games and marquee games matter, which is, again, why I keep saying SWAC TV is telling all of us, stop scheduling these foolish games. Nobody want to see us play against Edward Waters and Westgate Christian and Arkansas Baptist and Lincoln, California. Nobody want to see those games. Nobody want to see that. Our own fans don't want to see that. So now, but if we can schedule games against teams that matter, programs that matter, man, those are games where not only is the SWAC going to bring SWAC eyeballs, bro, we get to bring eyeballs from the CAA and from the Southland, from the UAC, and from the West. We get to bring eyes from everywhere, build our platform up, get our advertising dollars up, and then it's just going to go back to our programs in the first place. So we got to schedule better games. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing. But that's why this game gets on TV. Huge game. It wasn't on a SWAC thing. I understand because it's hard to stay the home team. It's a Southland game. I mean, it's a UAC game. But listen, Prairie View, you can't knock this, man. Prairie View A&M University has 2 nationally televised games in back-to-back weekends. That's not nothing to poo-poo. That's not nothing to poo-poo. Tarleton State, bro, listen. The Tarleton State game's at 8:00 at night. It's a prime time game. It's a prime time game in week 0. What are we talking about? Prime time. FCS. Listen, football, and you got to understand, and we're gonna talk about a little bit more, bro. When the fall hit, bro, when July gets here, people are gonna be salivating for football. They can't wait the footballers in their hand. You already waiting for football right now, and we're in the month of May. It's May 28th. What we talking about? You listening right now because you crave football right now. You don't think in July and August that people gonna be craving ball, bro? When we get to week 0, people gonna be putting their eyeballs on everything. And you talking about having a prime time slot, bro? Prime time slot against another FCS power, bro. The game gonna do nothing. There's people who were even talking about the game who got no connection to Tarleton State and Prairie View, but they said, "Man, this is a game I want to see. I want to see what goes down." And then you followed it up with a SWAC conference game, Prairie View versus Texas Southern on ESPN2. Come on, man. I mean, how can you be mad about that? I see some alum talking about the time. Who cares what time the game is? It's ESPN2. ESPN2. Yeah, and the Baylor game. I included the Baylor game, right? That's why I say we have 6 games on ESPN Family Networks right now. 1 game on HBCU Go, right? So listen, this is the reality, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about this risk, right? We're going to talk about this risk a little bit, right? But you got to understand, this is huge, right? And at this time, right, I just want to I want to put a pause here, right? Because before we get, because we're about to talk about this Labor Day Classic, because I see some people talking about that this is a bad deal. Did you plan a Labor Day Classic on Sunday at 11 o'clock in the morning? What we do? We're gonna talk a little bit about that. But first and foremost, listen, 2026 season tickets, they're being sold, right? And the goal is 2,000. And I know you feeling the energy. I know you feeling the energy because when some people, they ain't trying to buy all these season tickets because they not no PV people, but they got their eyes on certain games. There's some people that can't wait for the single game tickets to drop because they gonna get in for the SFA game. They're gonna be there for Texas Southern. They trying to get certain games. They're gonna be there for the Southern game or the Alcorn. They're gonna be there for certain games. But listen, if you want to lock in, because the goal is 2,000, right? Home schedule, Texas Southern, SFA, Southern Alcorn, Alabama A&M. This is a great schedule. It's a great schedule. And you got Dallas up the road. You can pull up the Baylor. We got Tarleton State right in Stephenville. We driving everywhere this year. So we talk prices again, right? $200 to $400. Again, we talked about it before. This money goes to the PAF, the Panther Athletic Fund, right? A portion goes to the Panther Athletic Fund. You're talking about funding the program. $50 of it goes to, the Football Excellence Fund, right? Talking about revenue sharing. Listen, you just purchased your season tickets. You already helping with revenue share. And that's on top of the 200,000+ that the university already dedicated to NIL, by the way. So this money that you giving them when you just purchase season tickets, this is just extra dollars right here, right? That's just extra dollars right there. But listen, right now, new record. New record and new goal right now, right? But last time we was at 1,200. Listen, we over 1,300 season ticket holders, y'all. Over 1,300 season ticket holders. Now again, the goal is 2,000. We still ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, the Dallas Panthers are definitely best with that with the schedule. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, we changing the Labor Day classes to the brunch classic. That's facts. You know what I'm saying? Listen, 1,312 season ticket holders currently. New record. All right. And like I keep saying, we're gonna celebrate all of our records. Every time we get a chance, we're gonna celebrate. So we're over 1,300 season ticket holders. Section 106 is sold out completely. You can't get in Section 106. Section 107, only 3 spots left. Section 108, right? 108, only 3 spots left. And then listen, with the 2 sections on each side, right? Got 40 seats in one section, got 60 seats in another section. They going, bro. And we not even in June yet. We're not even in June yet. So if you've been waiting, if you've been trying to get your ducats together, you need to go on purchase because we ain't got but a couple more chair back seats left and available. Okay. The Communion Classic. That's hilarious. You know what I'm saying? He says Communion Classic, right? But listen, you need to go ahead and get your season tickets, right? Because as we're talking about it, we about to get into this Labor Day Classic, right? Because we don't really. I just want to take some chance to just break down why this makes so much sense. But we're gonna take a little commercial break, man, and we're gonna get into it in a second, man. But take this commercial.
Hey, you guys, this is Jeff McKissick, your favorite loan officer.
It's your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back with another episode of The Home Team. And we're there at Chicago Title because we just actually finished closing a client today.
And you want to know the results? We got them to clear to close in less than 21 days. And we know working with HBCU graduates, there are all different types of professions out there.
And there's many of us all over the Houston area, and we just want to make sure that we all have a place that we all can call home.
And we got plenty of programs to cover all the different professions. So make sure you hit up your boy, Mansions by Lionel.
And don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can get home tomorrow. Holla at y'all.
Take it easy.
Some traditions are built overnight. They're built in the quiet morning before the lights turn on. Built in preparation, built in discipline, built in commitment. At TON Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, we believe care should be built the same way. One patient at a time, one family at a time, one smile at a time. Because excellence isn't accidental, it's intentional. And that's why we're proud to stand behind one of the greatest traditions in college football. A rivalry defined by pride, fueled by legacy, and carried by generations. The 2026 Labor Day Classic, where preparation meets opportunity, where tradition meets the future. TLN Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, the official sponsor of the 2026 Labor Day Classic, built to last. Some traditions are built.
So listen, we talked about it before. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Labor Day Classic being sponsored by Dr. Nickelberry. First time ever. PV alum, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Putting some money into the program, right? But listen, and Crook, man, hey, listen. Listen, come on, man. Come on, let us live. Hey, but shouts out to the home team. Shouts out to Jeff, right? You know what I'm saying? We've been working, we've been grinding, man. So again, if you know somebody that's looking to purchase a property out here in the Houston, Texas area, man, let me know, let Jeff know. We're gonna take care of them. But we got the Labor Day Classic sponsored. We doing big things out here. And now people have an issue. Now think about this. We got alumni willing to put up dollars to sponsor the Labor Day Classic. And at the end of the day, you love your university. I mean, you're going to support your university, obviously. But you want a return on your investment last time I checked. Last time I checked, you want a return on your investment. So you're going to put funds in because you're looking to get something out. And so you have an opportunity. We had an opportunity to take the Labor Day Classic to ESPN. And that's what we did. Because why would we not? Why would we not take the Labor Day Classic to ESPN2 and let it be in front of the whole nation? You're talking about being able to be in front of the whole entire nation. And now individuals have issues with this. This is the crazy thing. I just don't understand Black people sometimes. You can't be stuck in 2002. We're not living in 2002 anymore. And I just saw this earlier, and I had to come and bring this on the platform because we need to have a conversation. Mr. Kevin says, thank PV for this nonsense. This year's Labor Day Classic has been moved from Saturday evening to Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Central Time. Now listen, after this next sentence, nothing else he's talking about even should matter no more, right? It's being broadcast nationwide on ESPN2. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's why we're moving the game. Word on the street is that ESPN picked a date and time to fit their scheduling priorities. And of course, the Mamas at PV say, yes, sir, boss. Hey, PV, where are 99% of Black folks on Sunday morning at 11 a.m.? Well, if they're in Houston, then a lot of that percentage of people is at these brunch spots. That's the reality of that. A lot of these Black people at the brunch spots, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? But it really ain't no whole other conversation because it's the brunch classic. This ain't the Labor Day Classic no more. This the Houston Brunch Classic, all right? So listen, after he said it's being broadcast nationwide on ESPN2, nothing else he really saying should matter. Nothing he really saying else should matter. It's being broadcast on ESPN2. What are we talking about? We're talking about Prairie View. Listen, you got to understand. When we talked about it many times before, football is they call it the porch of the university, right? It is how you get your university out there. And Dr. LeGrand has big goals for the university right now, reaching R1 status, etc. The reality is this helps the university to get where it's trying to go. It helps the university get the exposure it's trying to get. So first and foremost, it ain't just about the game itself. It's bigger than the football game. But let me tell you this. Listen, the truth is, this game has been moved many times before. This game has been on Sunday. This game has been on Saturday. This game been on Thanksgiving. I mean, the last 30 years, the game ain't stayed in one slot at one time. It ain't been played at one place at one time. It's been moved, and a lot of stuff has been tried with this game. So the reality is, this game ain't too. This ain't the Bayou Classic in the Superdome. This is not. So calm down. Like, stop. Let's stop it, okay? So the fact that Prairie View is willing to step out and try something different to seek to get a different result, that's exactly what we need to be doing. Why are we doing the same thing over and over again? Why? And of course we cook them because it don't make sense. Think about this, right? Because Rocky said should be tradition. You know, think about it. If this game did numbers on SWAC TV, which is another reason why ESPN would pick it up. Now, what if this game does numbers on ESPN2 in this untraditional time slot? Think about it. Again, I told you, you got us playing Texas Southern, and then right after that, you got the Orange Blossom Classic, which has been played traditionally on Sunday now, right? It's been on ESPNU. It's on ESPN this year. It's been on different ESPN platforms. But think about if our game does numbers and the Orange Blossom Classic does numbers. That's great for ESPN, but it's also great for us because guess what? We can now hold time slots that other programs and other conferences don't want to have right now at this moment because guess what? They are not traditional time slots. They aren't. They're not. But it's perfect for us because, again, we keep talking about if it don't work. What if it does work? What if we get millions of eyeballs? And we don't even need to get millions of eyeballs to make it work for what it would have been on ESPN Plus. Come on, man. What are we talking about? Then Mr. Simmons, that's why I'm not understanding the flex they're trying to make. You got a date and time nobody else was going to take, which is perfect. They even tried to move A&M and Graham to an early game. AD said, nope, 11 a.m. on a hot Sunday morning is not a flex. Listen. We took a time slot somebody else didn't want to take. Exactly. You got to understand, there's going to be no other game on TV. Listen to what I'm saying, right? Not that there's going to be no other game on ESPN or ESPN platforms. There's going to be no other football being played at the time slot that game is on. Not on ABC, not on CBS, not on the C-Dub, not on USA, not on Fox Sports 1. No other game is going to be on at the time. NFL is going to be in the blackout time between when they preseason ends and when the season starts. So no other game is going to be played on that time. Yet people's palates are already going to be wetted to football from week 0, and it's fall. Fall is football time. It's nothing for them to come on and turn on the game on Sunday. And guess what? Even those people who go to church at 11 a.m. and they get home. Listen, I remember going to church and getting home at 12, right when the Saints was playing. Make sure I turn the TV on. So guess what? There's other people going to come right into their couches, turn the TV on to the first and only game that's available, Prairie View A&M versus Texas Southern at the Labor Day Classic on campus. What are y'all talking about? What is the discussion about? It is a perfect time to do it. Nobody exclusive. It's an exclusive time slot. National game on campus, right? It's on campus. Thank you, D. What are we talking about? You want the same thing with different results, right? Same thing with different results. And the truth is, you want it to be at a different time. Why would you want it to be at a time slot where you're competing with everybody else? Now you got to compete with a Big Ten versus a SEC game, a Big 12 playing a Big 10 power. You got to compete with so many other games now in week 1 if you're at a different time slot. But if you're at that exact time slot that we got, in a time slot that people right now are saying, you know what, I don't want that time slot. Perfect. How long can we have it and do numbers before another program come in and say, you know what, that time slot is good? Because that's the reality. That's what's going to happen. This game is going to do numbers. They're going to now make it another game that's on their Sunday calendar during week 1 until other big programs are willing to then jump into the time slot and make the numbers even larger. That's just the reality of what's going to happen. But why shouldn't we benefit by being the first? By jumping out there. And this is the other thing, right? What if it didn't do numbers? What if it didn't do numbers? Then it don't matter. Why does it even matter? If it don't do numbers, what are you losing if it doesn't do numbers? But what are you gaining if it does do numbers? What? Come on, man. And it's gonna do numbers, by the way, right? It's gonna do numbers. But now listen. First and foremost, I just gotta say this. I can't even listen to somebody who's an alum of a school that ain't even gonna have games at the stadium that they supposedly renting this year. Why are we even having a conversation with you in the first place? Your priorities are not in your priorities not in line. Your priorities not in line. They're not. Your priorities are not in line. And that's another thing. I was going to talk about that too. Remind me later. I'm going to talk about that too. Your priorities are not in line. I'm going to put the StreamYard link in here because I know y'all want to come in. Listen, your school don't even have games on campus this year, nor at Shell Energy Stadium. But you talking about Prairie View moving the game to Sunday because it's going to be televised nationally on ESPN2. You can't even have no conversation with us. Why would we ever listen to you? You ain't got no home games. Your home game is at Aldine ISD. What are we talking about right now? Why are you giving us advice? But since you're so concerned because of where black people gonna be on Sunday at 11 a.m., well, at least 15,000 of them gonna be in Prairie View, Texas. That's all I know, right? Because we don't need more than that. All I need is 15,000. We can't fit no more than y'all anyway. So I just need 15,050 of y'all. That's it. But since you're so concerned, Thornfield is in Aldine ISD, northeast, right? Northeast, right by Beltway 8, Mr. Moore. You know what I'm saying? Listen, y'all who leaving the service and ain't gonna come at 11, y'all can watch the game on ESPN too. So leave your home, go get brunch, and you know what's gonna be on the TV? Because ain't nothing else gonna be able to be on TV but Prairie View and Texas Southern. That's it. So when you going out to eat, that's what you can do. But for y'all who are really concerned and just really scratching your head trying to figure it out, I'm gonna help you out. Mr. Moore's recommending one. He recommending on the left. Well, guess what? Church Without Walls got 3 times. So just wake your butt up earlier. They got 8 o'clock service. Listen, you trying to get some civil rights movement in you. All right, well, listen, I got Wheeler Avenue Baptist then. They got a 7 a.m. service. They got a 7 a.m. service. Man, these schools be leasing. These schools be leasing out here. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Good Hope Missionary Baptist Church got an 8 a.m. service. Listen. And you want something a little bit more multicultural? Listen, we got Lakewood smack dab in the middle. They got 8:30 service. They got 8:30 service. So listen, all this excuses y'all making ain't what y'all talking about? What are we talking about right now? Right? It doesn't. There's options. We can get this done. Y'all playing. It's the brunch classic. What are we talking about? Get up early, go to service, pull on up. But you don't leave ESPN2 on the table because apparently you saying 99% of bro, Houston is the brunch capital of the world. What we talking about? Houston, the brunch capital of the world. What we talking about? And listen, I just want you to understand because I'm just trying to I'm getting to a place real quick, right? The Celebration Bowl, and this is what I understand, right? Because the Celebration Bowl, when they talked about the numbers and the audience, they was clear that 63% of the audience was white people. Okay, it was white people. It wasn't black people. It was white people. Okay, another 25% were black, but guess what? 7% was Hispanic people. You got another 5% you mix in whatever you want, right? So all I'm trying to say is 70% of the people that watch the Celebration Bowl are not black. I want to let you know, just in case you don't know, right? Do you listen? Do you think Prairie View A&M University as an institution is only looking to take black people money to build what we trying to build? To go where we trying to go? Do you think they only trying to take black people money? We're trying to get in front of every audience possible to go. Listen, we're trying to get the R1 status. And to get the R1 status, we need the help of anybody, any color that want to be a part of getting us there. And broadening our brand helps us to do that. So we're not playing the game just for the 99% of these so-called black people that you think gonna be in church on Sunday, which is not true in the first place. But it's bigger than that, man. It's bigger than that. We're looking at a broad, diverse audience. ESPN2, we're trying to get in front of as many households as possible. We're already going to be there the week before against Tarleton State. That's why we play games like that, to get exposure like that. Then we come back the next week on Sunday, 11 a.m. Listen, a time slot that nobody else got to get that. Now, listen, LCS kickoff. I see you, Rocky, in the chat. I'm about to get you up. All right. Let me land this plane. I'm gonna get my guy Rocky up. Anybody else that want to come on? I dropped the link in the stream, y'all, right? So y'all can come have that conversation. Let me know how y'all feel. I just don't see why you be mad Add Fort Bend Church. Mr. Moore says, listen, we can add a list. We can go and create a list and send out a PDF if y'all want, right? We send all the 8 a.m. times y'all need, okay? 7 to 8 a.m. times y'all need. Listen, every game in the FCS kickoff, and listen, FCS kickoff is just the FCS version of the MEAC SWAC challenge. Let's just be clear, okay? Because they see what the MEAC SWAC challenge did. They created FCS kickoff. I don't see nothing under 400,000 eyeballs. Listen, ESPN Plus ain't doing 400,000 eyeballs for none of y'all, none of our games, none of their games either, none of the G5 games either. ESPN Plus ain't doing that. It's not. It's not. SWAC TV not doing that either, right? So listen, why in the world would I not take an opportunity, for example, to play Tarleton State? Tarleton State and Prairie View is going to do at least 500,000. It's going to do $500,000. It's a primetime slot. It's going to do at least, and if it's a good game, it may, just like the TSU game, it's going to bring more eyeballs. So why would I not play this game? Listen, when you're talking about this game, and listen, I want to say this, and it's like, I'm ending. Listen, I'm ending here. And listen, I'm not comparing the SWAC to the NFL. I'm not comparing Prairie View to the NFL. But listen, the NFL, we know what the NFL do well. Man, they cut and chop up every single thing they have as a product and get it to all different type of places. They're going to have 9 international games this year. You understand what we're talking about? 9 domestic NFL games with domestic teams going overseas to play games. Now, somebody tell me what time these games be playing in. What time is it? By the way, it's that church time that y'all be talking about. That's the time. That's the time y'all be talking about. Now you keep telling me nobody is gonna watch this game. Nobody's gonna go to the game. Listen, man, y'all just talking. Y'all just talking and not willing to try and do anything. Because again, if it don't work, it's no harm, no foul anyway. But if it work, you literally might, Prairie View TSU might literally carve out a whole nother time slot for every school in the SWAC. What if that happens? What if ESPN says we're giving you now another exclusive time where every year you get another nationally televised game because we're going to keep giving you this specific time slot because of their numbers? What if that happens, though? See, nobody talks about what if that happens. NFL got 9 international games. When are those games played? Bro, them games played in the morning. Listen to what it says. Because these games broadcast in an exclusive standalone 9:30 Eastern Standard Time window, they face zero competition from other NFL games, turning an unusual time slot into a highly profitable viewing habit for American fans. Listen, all I'm trying to say is they have record numbers last year on these international games. But guess what? There was one year where they had to try it. And somebody was probably telling them, bro, ain't nobody waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning to watch an NFL game that early. They so used to watching their 12. That's what they tell them. Same thing y'all talking about right now, which is foolishness, okay? But guess what? Listen, Prairie View is not the NFL, SWAC not the NFL, TSU not the NFL. That's not the point I'm making, right? I'm saying we're looking at principles right now, right? So we're talking about church services and stuff, so y'all should be knowing about principles. We're talking about all these church services, but y'all ain't learning no principles, okay? The principle is an unusual time slot gives you zero competition. And that was the main thing when they talked about putting this game here, and the reason they was gonna move this game was because it was gonna give us a chance to be in an unusual time slot, which means no other game was gonna be on any other platform, not ESPN, not CBS, not Fox Sports, no other platform having a football game on early in the season when everybody craving football. Bro, you got to take that shot. And so again, what does it really got to do? Listen, if you only do 268,000, you know you did more than a SWAC championship did. Do you know that? You did more than a SWAC championship by just doing 268,000. And guess what? A lot of schools on ESPN Plus not even gonna reach this number when you add up the people who watch all their games on ESPN Plus. This is the facts. So why would I not put my product out in front of people? That's all I'm trying to see, man. I got Rocky. I got Mr. Miller M. Y'all listen, we apologize for Rocky and you know what I'm saying, we've been talking about church and stuff. He coming up here naked and stuff. Listen, we apologize.
No, man.
This is a holy platform. Listen, we ain't got nothing to do with it, all right?
Hey,
but
man,
Mr. Miller,
Rocky want them dollars.
No.
Where they leave the tip at, Rocky?
Hey, man, I've been outside. My wife been having me working, brother. So I was outside working, and I hope y'all can't smell me. You know, that's what I really hope. You know, but no, man, first off, I want to say, Lionel, thank you for having me on the platform. And I want to say you did an excellent, you and Sid did an excellent job yesterday explaining how the stadium was financed. And if anybody has any question about that, they should go back and look at yesterday's episode of Productive People, because that'll give you, not only will it give some insight how Prairie View did it, it may give your institution an idea of how they can do it if they find themselves in a situation where they're looking to build a stadium. What I also wanted to come up here and say, Lionel, one, I went to the OBC a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. This is the exact same time slot of the OBC a couple years ago. Now, I don't know where now here's what I went and looked up the OBC time, kickoff time. It's May, and they still don't have a kickoff time. I believe the OBC was hoping ESPN would pick up their game and ESPN would mandate a kickoff time for them.
The OBC is on ESPN, and I believe it's at 3 p.m. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern. This
plays after you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be right after us. Right.
Okay. See, I didn't realize that. So that's good. Other HBCUs are getting, getting displayed. But here's what I also wanted to say. I think Prairie View moving this game to this time slot is saying one thing. And along with going to play Tarleton the week before, and I hope you guys don't take this disrespectful, Prairie View is saying we want to be recognized as a premier FCS brand, and we're no longer going to play the chitlin circuit and try to just appease black people in order to get our program where we think it should be. Because we've played the chitlin circuit long enough, and there's, to be honest with you, there's diminishing returns on making it convenient for black people, but in missing opportunities for other groups, in my opinion. Because what you said is very remarkable, is that, what did you say, 68% of the audience was
63 was white, 7% was Hispanic.
So that's remarkable. What other school in the SWAC would have that much crossover appeal? That's a tremendous. Now, I would like to see geographically how many of those eyes were coming from the Lone Star State.
That would be a good one
for sure. It would be good to get that. Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
Because to be honest with you, and like I pointed out before, that's a huge. Football is, you know how big football here is in Texas. And you know what I hope happens on that Sunday? I think that would be a great opportunity to show off the campus to the nation, but also bring some high-profile recruits in to let them experience a Prairie View game, and there are no other schools they're going to have a conflict against if you can bring students on campus at that point. That would be a great great time to invite recruits on campus for them to experience what being at a Prairie View game would be like. Man, I'm excited, man. I honestly must say I'm excited, and I think matter of fact, I would even say this: Sunday morning is such a convenient time for the area, because you can go watch the PV game, and by 5 o'clock you can be at your favorite restaurant in Houston, sipping on your favorite beverage and talking noise to your fellow HBCU alumni. You know what I mean? I think it's a great opportunity, man. I think it's a great opportunity. But I will say this, and this is what I really wanted to bring up.
to both of you guys, Mickens and Lionel. This is Prairie View's taking a huge risk.
Yeah.
A huge risk. What do you guys think would be the best outcome and what it would do? And worst outcome, how do you think it will pan out?
Go ahead, Kerry. You can give your thoughts and answer.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start with the worst outcome. The worst outcome is to lay an egg and not win the game or something, weird jump off in the audience. We haven't had that, but, you just, when you get a lot of people together, you never know. Or you could get, unfortunately, which I've seen happen, we could get underwhelming marketing for the game, because this isn't the first time the game been on Sunday, but in the last few years, it's the first time it's been on Sunday, but it's been on Sunday before. But people have to know that it's Sunday, because you're going to have people expecting it Saturday and just out of habit. But it has been on Sunday before. So not getting the word out properly and people not showing up could be, a risk. But I think it will be some eyeballs on the game, because it's kind of weird. No matter what the record ends up being for these two teams, this game always has something weird. A ball off a helmet, just a last second field goal that was further than that guy kicked all year. Always something odd in this game. So people that know the history of the game are going to tune in, even if they can't make it.
Again, worst scenario, you guys lay an egg, and I'm not really talking about something where it would embarrass the university. I'm really just talking about something, outcome as far as football. Losing the game against two Texas rivals, Charleston State and also Texas Southern. What could that do to would that be a setback to what you guys have already established?
I wouldn't think it would if it was a good game, because sometimes that game comes down to a weird bounce. And if the game was tight all game and it was back and forth, a couple of lead changes, and it was kind of like the UTRGV game. I didn't consider that game embarrassment or anything like that, because we were actually driving down the field, and it just so happened, we were making positive yardage and really had all the momentum, and we just happened to have a bad fumble from a running back that don't even fumble. So that was just kind of the luck of the draw. But before that, it was really a good game. So if it's something entertaining for the people, just like the Celebration Bowl, I think a lot of eyeballs ended up on that game because of all those overtimes and how dramatic that game was. I know a lot of certain fans like to joke, oh, you lost that game by 2. But we didn't lose our first trip to the Celebration Bowl by 21 with no chance of winning. This game, we had a lead and lost it because they got momentum. But it still was a really good game. And I think that fourth quarter and all those overtimes probably, I'd like to see the graph on when people started tuning in. But I would imagine that's when people started looking in on that game and what really drove those numbers up, because it was really dramatic down the stretch.
Yeah. To me, the only way you lose, because I'm not thinking about the game itself, right? The game is the game regardless of if it's on Saturday, if it's on Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, right? So regardless, that's a completely separate thing. So to me, losing, the only way you lose really is, to me, the only risk or loss is just attendance. That's really it. I don't see you losing in any other way, because to me, just the fact that you take this chance, to me, is already winning from the standpoint of now really knowing where you are. Because again, Prairie View's trying to grow its brand. It's trying, like you say, we're trying to put ourselves out there to be seen as this FCS power. Well, how are you going? It's just like SWAC. Well, the SWAC TV took a risk by creating SWAC TV, but it's a calculated risk in order to say, man, we got to even know what we are, right? We got to even know what our numbers are so we can know what we could be possibly worth, for example, right? You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's kind of in a similar vein as that of, man, we got to see if we have the ability to move a game and still be able to do numbers on ESPN and bring in a crowd that keeps the atmosphere there. If we can do that, then now we can also look at doing this in the future with some other games that we have an opportunity to get even another uneven or a different type of time slot that puts us in front of, viewers nationwide that maybe another SWAC school is not willing to do, because also maybe they don't have access to the type of games we have again, right? When we have another SFA or another maybe UIW is good in a few years again, right? And we got them on the schedule. But now we can think and say, man, if we flex this game to a different time slot, do we feel like this could also do numbers like the game with TSU did because of the eyeballs that maybe is on it because of the game? Or, for example, we play UTRGV 3 more times, in the upcoming years. They're going to be a solid program. They may even be a top 25 program. What about a game like that? Could that game also be one that we say, hey, we're creating almost a little rivalry with this Southland school, right? Maybe that's a game we can look at putting in a different time. So to me, I don't feel like the only way you lose, the only loss is the loss of like revenue from the amount of people who may be at the game because it's a Sunday morning early when you typically in that TSU game always are going to do, upwards of 14,000, whatever the number is. That's the only thing you really lose. But to me, what's your long-term goal? That's to me what we're thinking about it from. And that's why I'm happy we're making this move, because sometimes you gotta sometimes make moves not based on the money you chasing right now, but based on the money that you can have access to in the future. Because again, and the last thing I say, right, we just got a sponsor for the Labor Day Classic who's an alum who put up tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. Well, do we want to make that Labor Day Classic sponsorship more valuable? Well, put it in front of ESPN and say, hey, man, the last time somebody sponsored our game on our campus, we did 500,000 views. So this sponsorship this year, when we have Labor Day Classic on our campus, and we're now going to be on another ESPN platform, well, we doubled the price for how much that costs now, because you got in front of, you didn't just get in front of people in the stadium, you got in front of people all over the world, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why, to me, that's the only way you lose. And to me, it's not even that. It's not that big of a loss to take, because you still gonna get a bigger win on the other end. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thought process on that, man. I dropped a link too if anybody else had anything they wanted to jump up and share, man. Another thing I want to ask both of you guys too was, and I think you alluded to it, Rocky, a little bit earlier, was I feel as if it feels as if a lot of times we try to hold on to stuff as if it's tradition, when the truth is, when you back up and actually look at it, you realize this ain't even no tradition in the first place, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think that this is probably affecting not just Prairie View, right, but a lot of other SWAC schools, a lot of the MEAC schools, right? What are ways that, to me, you feel like you see that other SWAC schools in general, right? I mean, you can use specific programs if you have something that's already come to mind before, right? Of where they could actually take advantage of stuff, or SWAC or MEAC or whoever else could take advantage of stuff that we're not, because we're literally holding on to something that we're calling tradition. And sometimes it could be tradition, by the way, too, right? Maybe it is something that is a tradition, but we're not willing to break away from it because, but you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, man, but that's how we've been doing it, right? So I would use the D2 games even as a thing, right? Or the NAI games or the D3 games, right? To me, that's something, traditionally we've been doing that. But listen, there's value in us playing these other PWI schools in terms of monetary value that could bring into us into like SWAC TV if we do start scheduling these games. But what are you guys' thoughts on that?
One of the things that I think, and you guys may not agree, but I think it's one of the aspects of HBCUs. I think it's a great area of opportunity, but they often take their fan base for granted. I'm going to say this. The matchups at homecoming over the past few years for all the schools seems like they haven't given their fan base a quality game, in certain instances. And I think Jackson State fell in this situation one year. I think PV definitely fell in this situation. TSU almost has a tradition of cupcaking it up too much. You understand? for their homecoming. And if that's your best game, if that's your marquee game of the season, in my opinion, you should give your fans the best possible matchup you can make. You shouldn't go with cupcake for homecoming when most of your fans are only going to come out and see one game a year. Let's let them come out and see a good, competitive, quality opponent. And that's, to me, how you grow your football fans, not just your homecoming fans.
That's interesting. That's a good point. Yeah. What about you, Mickens?
Except don't invite PV to homecoming. Doesn't work out well. But no, I agree. Also, what I wanted to add about these national games is, they talk about PV might lose, they're not going to win or whatever. But those games where we had that extra exposure, we ended up getting 2 transfers from FBS program that we played. True. And we also got 1 or 2 transfers from another FBS program that's close by, from them kids seeing Prairie View on TV and seeing us up close like that. So you can't discount the intrinsic value of those games. You might not see it directly, but, and while other schools, they're okay with just being seen in a certain little area, or, hey, we had a whole lot of people crammed into our place to watch it. But I think that diverse and real spread out audience really also helps. But I think there are some things. It's just like PV one year, back to your original question, PV one year, remember we moved the Labor Day Classic so that we could play, in the MEAC SWAC challenge.
Yes, North Carolina Central.
NCCU, but it was worth it for that national exposure because, people learned who, Tucker and I think Morton was in that game. Morton, all those players, that was a good trade-off for the Labor Day Classic. So you never know. Maybe certain teams that play D2 schools during Thanksgiving, maybe they could, replace that with something more meaningful down the stretch. So it's it reminds me of the sometimes we do things just because that's what we always did. Kind of like the preacher that says that sermon about the grandma's ham recipe, and then when we got we cut the ham off on each side and didn't find out till later on grandma cut it off because her pot was too little. We cut it off because we thought it was the recipe. So we need to review those things and see, as these more modern times come up, maybe some of those traditions and games might be a little outdated. And it might help the overall SWAC brand if we could be doing something different at that, later time of the year.
One of the other things I think that this may be a little risky in nature, but I think that we should allow institutions that qualify for the playoffs play in the playoff, whether they qualify for the SWAC championship or not. We should let that school, if they qualify, determine whether or not they want to play in the playoffs or not. Meaning that if Prairie View comes down the stretch and they're 11-0 going into the week of Thanksgiving and they qualify for a bid with a win against Tarleton State and SFA, I think Prairie View should be given the opportunity to play in the playoffs or go to the SWAC championship, whichever one they choose.
Well,
and again, let the second place team in their division play the SWAC championship and move forward. But I think that's something that Prairie View should be. Any school who qualifies as a participant in the FCS playoffs from the SWAC should be given that opportunity if they choose. They don't have to.
It's not gonna happen though, because at the end of the day, the Celebration Bowl has mandated, right, that the conference champions come. So that's.
But if you don't play in the conference championship game, you won't be the conference champion.
Okay, so Prairie View goes 11-0. So now we're gonna pass up a home championship game, because that's the first thing you're passing up, right? Mm-hmm. Is a championship game at your stadium at home. You're gonna pass that up, which is money. then you're also going to pass up Celebration Bowl, which is more money, and that money is actually increasing to go pay money to try to go win.
Yeah, you got to pay for that.
It just ain't. I mean, it sounds good, right, in theory, but it's not going to happen at all. There's nowhere possible that that's going to happen. What could possibly happen is, again, like FAMU a few years back, like NCCU when they made the playoffs, when they lost to Howard, right? That can happen, right? The second place team in one of the divisions that's good enough and has a good enough record because their schedule was worthwhile, right? They can make the playoffs. But the only other way that the team that wins the championship and gets into playoffs, man, is if the FCS playoff committee is willing to give the automatic bid to, say, the Celebration Bowl champion, for example, right? That may be something that at some point in time could be an option to say, hey, you slot this Celebration Bowl champion into the first round or whatever, second round, whatever it may be, right? You know what I'm saying? But they got to play maybe the number 3 seed or 2 seed or whatever. That could possibly happen, right? But I mean, that's one of those possibilities with the NCAA moving things around. But there's zero chance that that's going to happen because you just lose money. Like, and it just doesn't make fiscal and financial sense.
So you're thinking because you do know hosting. We found out last year that hosting a Celebration Bowl is not a guarantee to an appearance. Hosting the SWAC championship is not a guarantee in hosting the Celebration Bowl.
No, of course not, right? But again, so home SWAC championship game, right? What's that worth? One in exposure and stuff too. So that's even the intrinsic value, right? That exposure. We can put dollars on it, right? And see based on what you get out there. Okay, man, that was worth $3 million in advertising for you to host that championship game on ESPN2 on your campus, right? But there's also money. You literally make revenue, right, by hosting the SWAC championship game. Again, if you win the SWAC championship game, there's also a payout for that, which I learned from Dr. Bill, right, a few months ago, right? And then again, you get paid for the Celebration Bowl, right? Okay. So it's just too much money. You're possibly leaving $2 to $3 million on the table that you have access to, right? So it literally doesn't make any sense because you got to think the budget of a school in the SWAC. Most schools is maybe like anywhere between say 12 and 18,000 million or whatever it may be, right? You're talking about making $3 million. You're talking about having an opportunity to make $2 to $3 million, which is like a certain amount.
I guess it would only make sense if you guys hosted. You guys got a playoff game, and then you guys hosted a team like SFA or Houston Christian or something like.
Yeah, but that ain't gonna do the numbers that the SWAC championship game is gonna do, and there's also no guaranteed payout for winning that first round game against SFA anyway, right? You know, you get a payout for beating the team from the East or the West if you're in the SWAC. So that's what I'm saying. It just makes sense for the second place team to go, or like I say, to me, the big push should be let these conferences be a part of it. But either two things. One, we just make our own playoff, right? We just make a 14 playoff, which is
that would be interesting.
Yeah, can just make their own championship game, which is make it a 14 playoff anyway, or whatever, right? Or like I say, let the Celebration Bowl champion be slotted into that. It'd probably be the second round at that point, right? Which again, people may say that's not fair, but that's the other way to do it, right? You know what I'm saying? Is either slide the playoffs back 1 week, right? And then start it that week, and then now you get that Celebration Bowl champion in the playoffs. That can be done, but outside of that, it just don't make sense for us to go. It just don't make sense to leave money on the table to go.
Now, when you break down the money aspect of it, the competition may not be worth the money when you really think about it.
I think they said the team that the North Dakota school or Montana school that went to the championship spent $700,000 going to the championship game, like throughout the playoffs, right? That's how much they had to spend to go to the championship game, but they're not making anything off of other than their home games, right? If they had home games, right, it's one thing. But think about Illinois State; they have all away games to make it to the FCS championship game, and their away games were far. I saw a video where they were showing like how far they had to travel to these games. So they had to put up a boatload of money to even make the championship. Even if they would have won, what would they got for winning? Other than now, you want the pride of I won a championship, right? I'm the best team in the country. But outside of that, there's no monetary value that's coming back to the program, but directly because of that, right? So like I said, it's just hard and really a conversation that is never gonna happen. It's just
yeah. Well, it was a conversation on some of the PWI FCS boards I look at, and some of them are trying to figure out how to get a setup like we have with the Celebration Bowl, because some of their fans realize the money that's in that. And so if you have a middle ranked team, like your 13th rank or something like that, you're not going to go that far anyway. And they were like, well, dang, we probably just as good as the team they sent to the Celebration Bowl. We need something like that to make some money at the FCS level that would actually help them.
They don't have the captive fan base that the HBCUs have, though.
Yeah. But I just saw it bounced around on some of the other sports forums. They were, people were a little envious of that, SWAC championship Celebration Bowl setup.
Gotcha. Okay, so it starts the same week as the Bayou Classic, what Zach is saying. So yeah, I had that timeline completely off then. So yeah, it just wouldn't work, and it doesn't make sense to bypass the SWAC championship. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense to bypass.
And that's why I was saying some of the games are outdated, because you have Alabama State plays that week too, so it would just be some games that we would have to,
It says easy to break even as the road team. Okay, that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so anyway, you're still not coming on with $2 million. That's the only thing I know.
No, yeah.
You win 2 games, you come home with $2 million.
The money doesn't. Yeah, because with Prairie View having a 15,000 seat stadium, even if you got the gate, there's just not enough money there to make up for what you would get in a Celebration Bowl. It's just not enough.
And I mean, the truth is, if you're talking about an LCS playoff game versus a SWAC championship game, I could also charge more per person for the SWAC championship game too. I make more money if it's the same 15,000 sitting in the seats. I could charge more for people coming to watch the SWAC championship game. There's just the culture, the environment, right? If it's an Alabama State you playing again and you played them people, I mean, it's just you'll be able to make more when it's the SWAC on SWAC opponent too as well, right? You got the bands involved, like it's just gonna be different because the culture.
Well, let me just ask just a simple question: is the SWAC simply going to have to schedule better out of conference to change the perception of the conference? Is that the only path to respect as a FCS conference?
No, it's not scheduling better. It's winning. It's winning, right? I mean, that's just the reality. It's winning, right? Even though the schedule has not been great with the D2 games and stuff like that, there's still been games again. We still play UIW and Lamar and
Nichols and all those people.
Southern has played Nichols. Alcorn played SF. If we win them games, you know what I'm saying? Alabama A&M's play Austin Peay. If we win those games, then we still will have respect even with the D2. Matter of fact, then they can't even say nothing about the D2 games because we beating everybody out of conference,
right?
With the D2 games. So what you talking about our D2 games for then, right? The reason the D2 games is big is because, man, y'all ain't playing nobody and y'all getting smacked out of conference. So, it's winning. Win. Prairie View going to beat Tarleton State changes everybody's mindset, right? I don't know who else got a team. North Alabama, I think Alcorn played North Alabama this year, right? They go beat North Alabama. That changes that helps to change the narrative, right? It's just winning, period. Just win. Yeah, win quality FCS non-conference games.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I'm saying? I want to ask y'all too, since I got y'all on too, about the schedule in general. You know what I'm saying? What were y'all thoughts on the ESPN schedule? One thing that was mentioned earlier was that ESPN did an awesome job really of taking very, very key games, but to me, ain't that the point? Ain't that what they supposed to do? They supposed to look and say, man, what are the best games coming out of this specific conference, right? Based on where people land, based on what I'm saying, based on the demographics, even, right? Of who watches these games. Aren't they supposed to do that? So what did y'all think of this ESPN, schedule of games when you first saw it?
First thing I looked at is how Jackson State is not being on the platform until looks like the end of September, and that's a little different in previous seasons.
That's a good point. I never thought about it.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
You know, normally Jackson State gets a pretty early game in the season on ESPN, and they end up not showing up till the same weekend as the Labor Day. I mean, as the State Fair Classic, and I mean that's a little different, you know. So yeah, that's a little different. I thought, you know, to be honest with you, I thought ESPN took the lion's share of the marquee games, as they should. And they left all of the I'm assuming this white helmet is Alabama State, correct?
Depending on which white helmet you're looking at, one is Prairie View, one is Alabama State.
Yeah. Well, I know which one is Prairie View. They have the
the white helmet with the yellow with the gold under it is Alabama State.
Yeah, and them taking Alabama State 4 times, you know, I thought they would probably take them more than 4 times, to be honest with you, you know. But you know, HBCU Go may have, you know, several Alabama State games, considering the accolades that Andrew Body had got last year and what is expected of him coming into this season. I thought they would have more, but we'll see. But you know, I thought Alabama. See, surprising. Where is Alabama State and FAMU? Where is that game? Like, see, I thought that was a game. See, yeah, I thought that was a game that ESPN would take, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're not expecting much out of FAMU. I don't know.
Interesting.
But they have FAMU in there a few times.
They got FAMU 3 times though, so it's not as if. But they took FAMU Jackson, right? Which is traditionally, you got to think over the last few years, that's been a more marquee game than Alabama State and FAMU. Technically, right? Alabama State until last year hadn't done well against FAMU, right? And that game wasn't necessarily a game as contentious as, say, the Jackson FAMU game or the Alabama State Jackson game, for example. You know, that game had kind of been landing basically on FAMU the last few years until last year. So I think that may be right for people in the conference. Probably it's a more bigger matchup, but I can see why maybe they would skip over that game. But then like the Bethune FAMU game, right, always has that intrigue. Florida Classic, big numbers, and it's always, even sometimes when one of the teams is better than the other team throughout the season, the other team still wins, right? Which has that type of intrigue. So
let me ask you guys this. Why do you think they didn't take more Marshall Faulk games? Because I thought that's a thing that's a calculation that I thought would be put into play, that like they would take some Marshall Faulk games, but it looks like they took them against Andrew Body and against Jackson State, and they're leaving them alone after that.
Yeah, well, the first game is the Birmingham Classic game, so I'm pretty sure obviously that was a SWAC kind of, that was a SWAC made game, right?
Yeah, but it's also Andrew Body as well. That's what I was.
Yeah. So and I think that game was a TV game last year too, right? If I'm not mistaken. So, and then the Boombox Classic, right? So I think it is Marshall Faulk's first game coaching, so it kind of gets you that, and it gets it against Andrew Bodies. So to me, that makes sense. And then I think the Boombox Classic, just in and of itself, even if Faulk wasn't coaching, that game is probably a game ESPN picks up. So I don't really think anything. I kind of feel like there's really no game on the schedule for Southern that was like, this is on here because of Faulk, right? I think both of those games would have probably got picked up regardless. Just with Southern being Southern.
Do you think that's surprising they don't try to cash in on the celebrity of Marshall Faulk?
But he hasn't shown them anything yet, so
he don't got no celebrity. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and then it's the reality. Southern's bad. That's a bad program over there. They were 2-10 last year.
So was Jackson State before Dion got there.
Yeah, Dion marketed.
They hadn't won for like 10 years, right? But they wasn't. I don't know if they were 2-10.
They were
right?
3-8.
Okay, they were 3-8, right? But the thing is, you got to remember
3-8, 3 years in a row.
But you have to remember, one, there was a spring season in between.
That that spring season, every Jackson State game was on TV.
And then you also have to add the fact that when you looked at what Dion won, again, Marshall Faulk has no celebrity. Let's start there, first of all, right? Marshall Faulk don't have celebrity. There is no celebrity with Marshall Faulk. Like, what we talking about? He don't. There's nothing special about him. He ain't got no following.
The job then.
They ain't got nothing. That's Tony Clayton question. I ain't got nothing to do with that. He don't got no celebrity. I'm answering that part. He has no celebrity. Dion has celebrity, right? Dion has a following on his own, period. And you can't take away the fact that when Dion was recruiting and how he came from a media standpoint, one, it was already there. He just brought it to Jackson. You got to remember that too, right? So he also brought his own media presence itself. It wasn't just like, oh, Dion got hired here. He wasn't doing nothing at all. And then like, we going to come over here. Dion had his own media stuff going on, right? Like I'm putting myself out there, period, right? I'm going to bring this deal I got over here so they can do a documentary with me, right? It's not like Dion was just sitting there and like waiting on ESPN or waiting on, these other platforms to come to him. So that's a part of that celebrity status and really just a part of his genius, right? From a business or sports standpoint, right? Yeah. He had all those things going and rolling on his own that he brought to Jackson State too. So, and the fact that his recruitment at Jackson State, what you tell me about Marshall Faulk recruiting right now at Southern. Exactly. That's my but we know what Dion was doing already, even starting in that spring season, especially going to the fall season. We saw what he was getting, right? And the guys he was bringing in, the guys that was putting Jackson State on their radar. So that's also going to change things too. And of course, when Travis Hunter chose Jackson State,
what I'm simply saying is you may not agree that they're celebrity, but Marshall Faulk is a bona fide first. I think he was maybe a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the top 5 best running backs to ever play the game. He is, he won a Super Bowl. He's part of one of the most prolific offenses in NFL history. So I think he does have
that has nothing to do with him coach. He's never coached before. Again, this is apples and oranges because he's not a celebrity. To be honest, he's not really a celebrity. Not in the sense of celebrity. When we talking about Dion, I guess we talking about maybe A-list, B-list, not how they say that stuff like that. He not. Dion is A-list.
So he was far more famous than he's far more famous than Tremaine Jackson when he got hired or Chennis Berry when he got hired.
That has nothing to do with it, but they don't have anything to do with it.
So what I'm simply saying is I don't see how you not say that he's not a celebrity hire when the only reason, in my opinion, that he is hired is
he's a celebrity. No, I get what I'm trying to say. When I say he doesn't have celebrity, I'm saying I'm correcting myself, right? So you can understand exactly what I'm meaning when I say that. Of course, he's a celebrity in the sense that he's a big name and went to NFL and people know him. He's not a celebrity in the sense that he's not an A-list guy to where Marshall Faulk walk in the room right now in Houston. Ain't no people now running up to Marshall Faulk and like,
oh no, he doesn't have.
So that's what this is what I'm talking about. Right? From that standpoint, Marshall Faulk has no go. He ain't got no aura around him. Dion is like he say, prime and prime, right? You know what I'm saying? Completely different. And look at how they move. That's what I'm saying. You can't forget the fact that Dion brought his own media stuff with him to Jackson.
But you got to remember,
he didn't just start it up. Like I see Faulk is trying to do his thing on YouTube, right? He started.
It ain't the same.
Didn't start something at Jackson. He been doing those things and brought it to Jackson, right?
And see, Prime's thing was different.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. Like
because if you really look at it, Coach T-Jack,
you can walk by fucking Walmart and not say a word. Exactly. Like what we talking about? Like it's not the same.
Y'all gotta quit doing Faulk like that.
Yes,
I wasn't comparing him to Prime, but what I said is he is a celebrity. He was hired because he's a celebrity, and it seems like ESPN didn't buy into his celebrity. That's what it looks like.
Why do you think they buy into celebrity? Because he has no celebrity status. I think celebrity is the wrong word. I think we need to use a different word because it's something else that he is that fits but it's not celeb. That's not the word I think that's really the correct one we should use. We need to figure out.
I think you could use the word famous. He's known, but he's not a celebrity.
Like, there we go. There's
some actors that are good actors, but they're not celebrity.
That's that.
It's just like to me, and not saying it just because it's PV, but to me, T-Jack, Eddie Robb, they're more celebrity than Falk. Not because they're more famous, but because they bought in. As soon as they got hired to the program, they bought in. And that was kind of what put them on the map. Deion got there. He rebranded Jackson State with the I Believe thing. You know, you couldn't turn on the internet without seeing him. And I think it took 2 months for Marshall Faulk to pick the right color blue to wear. You never seen him in any Southern gear. Even when he was on national TV, did an interview. He wasn't wearing
this came up because Rocky was asking why didn't Southern have more games picked up by ESPN. That was the origin of the statement. You know what I'm saying? So that's
kind of how we end up down that road. But I'm just saying he didn't recognize it.
My point is that and we can move on because but that's why you hired the guy. That's why you hired the guy. That's why you put him put him in a position that he doesn't have any experience in because of that. That's why if you were just gonna be just some also ran team, then why not hire a qualified coach? And I'll leave that right there.
I mean, you're gonna have to go ask SWAC talk that because I don't know why crumbling dynasties do what they do, Rocky. I have no idea. No disrespect to Mr. Moore. Disrespect to Adrian Crook, though. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. No disrespect.
He catches all the disrespect.
But listen, I don't know why crumbling dynasties do what they do. You know what I'm saying? I don't watch crumbling dynasties. Okay, so I have no idea why Tony Clayton put up all that money to hire Marshall Faulk. I don't know. If he wanted the Deion effect, that wasn't to me. It didn't make no sense because again, you can just look at Faulk and how he moved before he got hired. Like he ain't moved like that, and he ain't coached for 1 year. Like I don't know what we're talking about from a football standpoint. It makes sense to me because he ain't coached. He ain't. That's the issue that we had before with our coaches getting hired who had no previous experience. Man, how you going to coach the whole entire team? You've never been in a position where you had to run a defense before. You never been in a position where you had to run all he did was run a room, and he ran a room for 1 year in the running back room. That's all he did. He never even been an offensive coordinator yet. Yeah, he could have all this knowledge of offenses, but he never had to put it together and actually teach other people, other students and other coaches to get them to get it right and to make it translate on the field. He hasn't had to do that yet. So to me, it didn't make any sense to hire Marshall Faulk. But again, I'm not an alumni of a crumbling dynasty. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know what I'm saying? So I have no idea why they did what they did, but he said Hugh Jackson.
Talk either, he don't know
listen, I think people do disrespecting Hugh Jackson. I'm not gonna lie. I think Grambling just moved too quick on Hugh Jackson. I'm still standing on that mountain because to me, Hugh Jackson was moving Grambling in the right direction. That's just how man, I know people feel differently, but I just think
they were extremely talented considering players that moved on from Grambling. They end up being
they had talent
in other conferences.
He brought the people in.
They had talent to go a lot of places. So yeah. And I saw a question about the Jackson and Tennessee State game. That game is going to be on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, by the way. I think Ross asked that question earlier. That's going to be an ESPN Plus game. So, yeah, that game is on ESPN as well. Jackson has 5 games on ESPN this year. Prairie View has 6 games on ESPN. So, because we also play Baylor and we play the Tarleton State and East Texas A&M. So, that's where the 6 come in at. Somebody asked a question earlier, too, about which game I think we thought would do the biggest numbers, too, as well. I'm trying to find that statement. But what are you guys' thoughts based on the games that you see listed? What do you think? Obviously, I mean, the ABC game with Alabama A&M and Howard, obviously, I mean, is going to do the biggest numbers because obviously it's on ABC. But outside of that game, right, which is probably going to do, somewhere on 1 million to 2 million, that's just what it does. For the other games, though, what do you guys think? What kind of numbers maybe some of those games can bring?
Ooh. I like the first game. I mean, we say what you want about Southern, but people will be curious to see what Andrew Body gonna look like against them and what Southern has for him.
I just don't see that game being competitive. So, though it may start,
yeah, the casual fan won't know though. They'll be looking to see how that's going to turn out. And Southern has a rabid following, even whether they win or lose. And Alabama State, people want to see what Andrew Body can actually do. And depending on how they're trending during the season, the Jackson State FAMU game, they don't like each other too much. And the State Fair Classic, ooh, that's a good one.
Why in the Tarleton? Oh, because
it's not SWAC.
It's not a SWAC game. So I honestly think that Tarleton Prairie View game will put up numbers that are similar to the Howard Alabama A&M game.
Oh no, I don't think that. You shooting kind of high right now, Rocky. I don't think that. I don't think that at all.
Okay.
ABC is
ABC.
I need an antenna, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to think the access of ABC is just different. Yeah. And you got to look at the MEAC SWAC challenge. Let me see. The MEAC SWAC challenge numbers, I think, over the last years is just it's a million plus period. No matter who in the game. Let me look it up real quick though.
But
I do think the Tarleton State game.
Okay. If that's the SWAC MEAC, okay, my bad. I thought that was well. If that's the SWAC MEAC challenge, because they're going to do a good job of promoting that game. It has a premier time slot. So
they have a good time slot too. Yeah,
you know, it's just gonna be different. Last year it did 1 million views, right? Almost 1.1 last year.
I'll put it like this. I don't mean to be, but I think that Tarleton State game will do better than any other SWAC, better than any SWAC game. On this slate, that Prairie View Tarleton game.
Even the OBC. What did the OBC do last year?
That's what I was thinking. The OBC game.
But that's on ESPN.
Yeah.
I mean, you also got to bring in the platform too, right? The platform matters. So none of the to be determined games are going to do better numbers than I think that obviously the ABC game. ESPN2, ESPN game. The ESPNU game is to me, ESPNU is where games go to die. So ESPNU to me is just a little bit higher than ESPN Plus. But you know, the Prairie View Texas Southern game is gonna be interesting, right? To see what that does. Orange Blossom Classic follows right after that, and it's on ESPN, right? It's not even on ESPN2, it's on ESPN. So, you know, I don't know, because I think both of those. I think the Orange Blossom Classic. Let me look and see what they did last year. I feel like Orange Blossom Classic could do over 1 million.
What SWAC game do you think will do better than the Tarleton PV game? That's what I'm asking.
Oh man, you know what? Dang. Okay. All right. So the Orange Blossom Classic last year was with North Carolina Central and Alabama State. It did 686. In 2023, it did 438, and that was on ESPN.
Oh, I thought it was higher.
And then the one in 2022, which was the big one with Jackson, Florida A&M, it did 958. So right under 1 mil. So you know what? So now, I mean, that's a good, you make a good point there. Because now because that's a prime time slot, right? That's an 8 a.m. game on August 29th. Let me look up what are all the games on August 29th, because there's only, I believe, like 6 games period on that week 0.
No, there's a
no. I'm
still slate of games.
I know there's a lot of games, but I'm saying like on ESPN is what I'm trying to say, right? On ESPN nationally broadcast. What are the? Let me see if I can look up the games. Let me see. I'll pull it up real quick.
Oh, you gonna pull it up? Okay.
On that seat, yeah.
Let me see. So, all right. So I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
The best matchups are gonna be in prime time. You know that first week.
Yeah.
Right. The best matchups are definitely gonna be prime time games. So,
and what I mean by that, it's going to be prime time on probably Saturday and Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so this is the week 0. No, this is not week 0. This is week 1.
Week 1.
Hold on, let me see, because I thought I just saw
week 0 and week 1 are on the same schedule.
No.
Listen what I'm saying. Week 0 and week 1 show up on the same week.
Okay, you know what? Because this is only looking at the FBS games. That's why. So I got to switch to FCS. So right now though, for week 0, Saturday in the FBS, you got North Carolina TCU on ESPN, San Jose State USC is on NBC, then North Carolina State and Virginia 2:30. That's it for FBS games. So there's no other FBS game on ESPN in the evening. You got Hawaii Stanford on the ACC network. Dub has New Mexico State, Florida State, Memphis UNLV on Fox at 9. So let me see. Man, North Dakota State. I heard North Dakota State got 10 national televised games this year, by the way. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. But all right, let me look at the FCS. So the FCS got some great time slots for week 0 then. So yeah, these are Thursday's games. So Friday, Idaho and Cal Poly at 9 o'clock. And then Saturday, Southern Alabama State on ESPNU at 2. East Texas A&M and Mercer. Alabama A&M Howard on ABC, and then Prairie View Tarleton. Wow, the FCS got the prime. Got some
good spots. Yeah.
Head to head, I don't see Alabama A&M and Howard outdoing Prairie View. I just don't.
Man, that's hard though.
No. I know it's on the cable network, and I understand that, but I'm just saying that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a good. I've been saying it since last year.
I don't know why they're not. I don't know why PV's not on ESPN, to be honest with you, but that's just me.
Maybe because they have the East Texas A&M Mercer. So I think
that won't
what probably is this game is the FCS kickoff game, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. In Macon.
Yeah, so the FCS kickoff game, I think, has a ESPN time slot, you know what I'm saying, each year.
Right.
So they're taking that time slot at 6. So Prairie View and Tarleton is not the FCS kickoff game, right? So that's probably why they put it on.
There would not be. See, the interesting thing, there would not be another football game going on against that. Is that 8:30 at the Howard game, or is that 6:30?
6:30. So it'll be.
Oh man! So it's gonna be. Yes. That's gonna be nice, man. That's gonna be the only.
So if the game is even close at halftime, it's gonna get all the eyeballs for the whole second half for sure. You know what I'm saying? And then I think there's only one FBS game that late, and I think it's on another network, right? It was a different network that is on. It's not ESPN.
They're like CW or something. No,
the CW game be over. That'll be ending, right? And that game will be over. It's Florida State versus New Mexico State. That game will be over at that time anyway. And then you got Memphis and UNLV, which is on Fox, right?
Is that 9 or 8? That's 9.
That one's at 9, right? So that one's gonna rival, right? But again, ESPN, right? I think that's gonna get a lot of viewers. So yeah, I mean, all the games is gonna do numbers. I don't know where all they're gonna land, right? But I think if I say this, right, if the Prairie View Tarleton State is a competitive game like how the Texas Southern Prairie View game is, yeah, it will do numbers because it's gonna be in a prime time position, right? It's first week of football. People excited to see football. It could definitely do numbers if it's a great game.
Well, what's surprising to me is it doesn't look like the NCAA or any of the teams took a ranked team and put them on TV in the first week. Like it looks like they took, remember the year they had Georgia Tech and Notre Dame play on the same weekend as the Celebration Bowl, that Friday, I believe. Not the Celebration Bowl, but
the SWAC Challenge.
SWAC Challenge.
Yeah, SWAC.
Doesn't seem like there's a really good game that's for that weekend.
Oh, you talking about for FBS games?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like there's no other FBS game that you look at and say You know, again, right? You got North Carolina TCU earlier on, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe that could be solid. But late, Hawaii and Stanford is not going to be a great game. And it's on the ACC network anyway, right?
Yeah.
C-Dub game is going to be over. New Mexico State, it'll be over by that time anyway. So really, is the Memphis UNLV game going to be good? No, Memphis is probably going to blow them out, right? So there is no other great game in the first place. So all the best games are the FCS games anyway, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like
the Mercer game, you know, Alabama State Southern has a prime time slot, and then, you know, depending, it ain't gonna be no good game either. Alabama State should beat them bad. The Alabama A&M and Howard game may be good though, right? You know what I mean? So that also can keep eyeballs there because that may be a really good game. And it's on ABC, right? So, but regardless, it's great that FCS ball gets like prime time slots this week, right? You know what I'm saying? Week 0, like. Period is great for FCS football. Cal Poly in Idaho.
How long has the FCS kickoff game been going on?
Oh man, since I think 2014, I want to say when I looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah, 2014, and those are the numbers I was showing earlier, right? So the FCS kickoff game does numbers. That's why, and this is why I say, Rocky, the Tarleton State game is going to do numbers. Like it's going to do some kind of number, right? You know what I'm saying? These are the games, right? So 422,000 last year, 541 the year before. You had 500 at Austin Peay, 718 Youngstown State versus Sanford. A&T played Jacksonville State and got 564. So again, it's done numbers. So I definitely can see the Tarleton Prairie View ain't the SS kickoff game, right? Like I keep saying, it's not. But this lets me know that game is going to do some type of numbers, right? You know, being in that time slot. So it's going to be interesting. And EA, I put this up to say, yeah, no, these games are ESPN2 games. Prairie View plays 2 games on ESPN2 back-to-back. We're not talking about ESPN Plus games. The two games at the beginning of the season that Prairie View has are both on ESPN2. You know what I'm saying? They're both on ESPN2. This is from Tarleton State on website, right? It's on this game's on ESPN2, and then the Texas Southern game the week after is on ESPN2, not ESPN Plus games. Question for Rocky right here. Said, how do you feel about JSU Tennessee State as a game after Prime exposed the contract of that game?
Well, you know, I think it's a good game because it's a traditional rival game, and I think the people of both schools enjoy that game. I don't think it means much in the landscape of competitive football, though, because I think Jackson State is light years ahead of Tennessee State when you talk about football programs at this point. After Eddie George left and what Tennessee State did last year, I think they're in totally different places. Like, to be honest with you, Jackson State will be playing for a SWAC championship next year. I fully expect that. In Tennessee State, I it wouldn't surprise me if they were worse than they were the year before.
Yeah.
Especially worse in
I feel like Tennessee State is going to be a better squad this year. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see. You think they'll finish higher in their conference?
Ooh, I mean, they won't win the conference like how they'll finish higher than they did last year in the conference, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I do believe that. I do believe that. JSU and Alabama State will be a good game. Yeah. Hitman asked a question earlier too about the schedules. How do y'all feel about the 11-game schedules some teams have? Mr. Mickens, I mean, do you like that? Do you feel like it gives them advantage because they get an extra, rest week? What's your thoughts on that?
I kind of like getting in the rhythm of playing more games. I think it's an opportunity to get a little rust, especially if you get too many bye games towards the end of the year when everybody else is kind of upswinging. Then you take a week off. I think that can kind of get you. I don't think it really gives them an advantage. Maybe if they get some bye weeks in the middle of the season when everybody's kind of sore and got some things you need to get healed up, maybe it'll come in handy before a big game. But I just think once you get your lather up, you want to kind of keep playing.
Yeah, I tend to think that what ends up happening is routine works best for teams. Like, routine works best. Now, of course, if you end up going through a rash of injuries, that time off could help you get healthy. But at the same time, it may not allow you to play better. It may allow you to be healthier, but it may not allow you to play better. So I think all the teams that play 11 games missed a grand opportunity to schedule a quality opponent, one, right? And also keep your program sharp, because guess what? You could play an opponent that would test you and kind of let you see where you are. I used Prairie View as an example last year. They played UTGRV, right? I know a lot of people laughed at them losing that game and all said nothing. We understand now that UTRTV was not a pushover. But what it did, it allowed Prairie View to see what they had to work on against a quality opponent. And then by the time they got through the SWAC, especially toward the end of the schedule, they were hitting on all cylinders. And they knew where they were weak, and they knew where they need to improve. Those extra games, especially early in the season, can help you figure out who you are and what your identity is. Because I don't think you are missing a game not down the stretch of your season. You're missing a game earlier in the season when you're trying to figure out your team's identity. The sooner you do that as a team, the better off you be, and I think better off you are. And I think those extra games allow you to find that.
There was somebody who put out a schedule too, a list of schools and when they had off weeks, and there was multiple. Matter of fact, one SWAC school had the same off week of one FCS school 2 times, right? The same.
Oh yes, it is.
So yeah, I mean they could schedule another game. I just saw Southern Utah just scheduled a 12th game with Chicago State, right? You know what I'm saying, for November 21st. That just happened. So teams could schedule 12 game. They just are choosing not to schedule 12 game.
But I think at this point it would affect their budget if it's a road game. You know, if it's a home game, you know, but it'll affect. You know, the main thing is if you pick up a game, say, and this is where Prairie View kind of has an advantage, right? You guys have an opportunity. You guys can pick up a game. Let's say you guys pick up a game against. Well, you already got all the teams you can play in your neighborhood. Just about. You got Sam Houston. You got
that's Lamar. Sam Houston is
we got Lamar down the road.
So just think if Lamar had a game, you guys could take Lamar in a home and home, and it wouldn't affect you guys' budget much at all, right? Whereas, who would Jackson State pick up as an 11th game that would not affect their budget very much?
There's a lot of FBS schools.
Give me one. Give me an FCS school. FCS.
Southeastern.
Oh, that's a good.
That one there.
There's schools in Louisiana that's right there across the border.
Right,
even in the Southland. So they don't have. That's not a super far travel for those schools either, right? You know what I'm saying? Even schools across the way, if you want to go opposite and go toward Alabama, right? You have a couple schools there, Sanford, North Alabama, right?
Alabama.
There's some schools over there too as well. So, even if you go up to Tennessee, right? There's a couple schools in Tennessee that probably aren't a far drive to Jackson, Mississippi either. So, I mean, it's not really again, right? I mean, if schools want to have 12 games, they have 12 games.
So bring that one up right there where it says disagree, Rocky, with HBCUs having limited nutrition recovery programs, 12 games versus 11 games with 2 buys is huge during the season. So you think that you suspect the teams that play 11 games will be better? I don't know about that.
I don't. This is the thing, right? I think the reality is it's not about necessarily 11 versus 12 games. To me, that's not that big of a difference, right? You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about now what FBS programs about to do and go from 11 to now, really, if you're going all the way through playing 16 games, that's a big difference,
that's
right?
Big,
you know what I'm saying?
11
to 12 ain't no big difference. But at the end of the day is, man, how are you recruiting? How good is your defense? Because if your defense is good enough, then guess what? You playing the equivalent of 11 games what a team that got 11 games is playing equivalent to 13 because the amount of snaps they're on the field, right? So or how many snaps does your starting linebacker play because you have no backup linebackers that you trust to put in the game? So this is what that also has to play a fact too, right? It's also talking about the roster makeup, right? It talks about, saying how deep can you go in your roster as far as getting guys snaps on the field, and you know what I'm saying? So again, 11 and 12 to me ain't that big of a difference, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. You know what I mean? Do your team got the bodies to be able to get through a season period? Because that's just where we are right now. We're 11. Because think about it, then, Rocky. If you're talking about that, then you can't win a SWAC championship anyway. Then, because that's the 12th game.
You don't have a depth.
You can't win a Celebration Bowl. That's a 13th game for you, right? So again, to me, it ain't that big of a difference.
Again, I understand from a nutrition standpoint, I don't think it's that big of a difference. But I think the team that goes out 11 times versus the team that has been out 10 times, when they line it up at the end of the season, it could make a difference based on just sheer experience of each team and who you've played. Now, again, if you're just gonna play the Lighthouse for the Blind for a 12th game, I don't think that helps you out. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of schools is they're playing the Lighthouse for the Blind in an 11-game schedule twice.
The Lighthouse for the Blind, that's what you call it? That's
not the Lighthouse. What in the world?
Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. They playing them twice. So if you playing, okay, you got 11 games, you playing the Lighthouse for the Blind 2 times, right? So what are the odds in a 9-game competitive schedule that you're going to lay an egg at some point during that season?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you rather lay an egg in a non-conference game than a conference game?
I see you saying, right. There's only a certain amount of times you get a chance to learn who you are, really, right? And how you react.
Yeah. You don't learn that playing the Washington Generals.
Yeah. I like this question from Isaiah too, and we're about to get ready to wrap up, guys, because we about to hit 11 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? But we appreciate y'all coming on, man. You know what I mean? Like I say, we trying to get more out there, right? I want a chance to talk about the ESPN and kind of the games coming up. But again, we're going to be doing more ball talk too, right? We got some breakdowns we got coming up. We're going to be talking about some of the current players signed. We're going to be looking at top linebackers in the SWAC, top offensive linemen returning. So we got a lot of things we're going to be doing, man. So make sure y'all check the platform out. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can catch it in live. We got a lot of film breakdown and things of that nature. And again, man, we're looking at, of course, the SWAC champs, Prairie View. We're also going to be looking at some of the other guys coming from other SWAC schools as well. So that way you guys can kind of know what, the different guys we got, man, in this conference. And we got some ballers, man. So, but with that said, this question comes up. And again, I know for many people, this is a far-reaching question. It's kind of like, yeah, it ain't going to happen for some people. But if it does, in a perfect world, Prairie View beats Tarleton, right? The 2027 game when PV hosts them, what channel do y'all see it on? I think my response to that is going to be, it depends on what Tarleton does the rest of the year, right? Like if Tarleton has a UIW year and they kind of flail out and end up not being as good of a team this year as what people actually considered them to be, I don't know if it makes this game. I don't know if it makes it to where it's like, oh, it's a guaranteed like ESPN game next year like it was this year. So to me, it depends on what Tarleton does the rest of the way. But if Tarleton goes and recovers and goes and ties for the UAC championship again, or they win the UAC and make the playoffs, get to the second, third round again, right? Then I could see this game also again being another one that could be picked up and put on a network somewhere, right? But it really depends. It would depend on what Tarleton does, right? I think they have to show that they're still a strong, viable playoff program, and then it will have the ability to kind of come back on again. But yeah.
I just think it has nothing to do with how good the teams are, in the upcoming year. I think both ESPN and Tarleton, both ESPN knows that Tarleton and Prairie View are looking at pretty promising years. And I think they're going to simply look at the numbers for this game and determine whether it's going to be on TV again. Because, again, they play the same weekend the next year. And if it does well, I believe they'll put it on again. If it doesn't do well, they'll find another game to put on. I think it's just as simple as that. And to be honest with you, if it doesn't do well on ESPN2, I believe SWAC TV is going to pick it up, or HBCU Go is going to pick it up. Like this game is if you're HBCU Go, would you pick up this game over an HBCU opponent?
No, I think that's a reason, because when I looked at our schedule and I looked at, for example, the SFA game too, and I thought, man, that would have been that's a Prairie View home game as well. I'm like, man, that would have been a great game for like a HBCU Go. But again, what is HBCU Go's goal, right? What are they seeking to do? They're only going to pick up HBCU versus HBCU game. I don't think HBCU Go is going to ever pick up a game that's not covering two HBCUs, which is their right, with and again, it's supposed to be a platform for us, so it is what it is, right? And again, it gives two schools exposure to networks and markets that they wouldn't have, right? So I'm okay with that because of what it is, right? But again, what it benefits is SWAC TV, because now SWAC TV gets a game that, again, depending on what happens in that first game and the Texas Southern game, that could be a ranked game, for example.
What do you think HBCU Go will do against the game? This game, I know there's different time slots, but they're going to have Texas Southern on this same weekend.
North Carolina Central, yeah.
What do you suspect they'll do versus what ESPN2 will?
What time is that game, by the way? What time is that Tarleton? I mean, is that 6 o'clock or is it earlier?
Not sure.
I thought it was early.
Let me look it up real quick.
Oh, okay.
It's at a high school stadium. I know that.
Actually, it's showing that it's still showing to be determined. Let me go to Texas Southern has no information about their football schedule up yet, because obviously they're playing games.
They don't want to put that stadium up.
Aldine University, so they ain't got no schedule up yet, which is crazy.
Dang.
Let me see if North Carolina Central has a time on here. But y'all can keep going. But
no. I just think I was just wondering. HBCU Go is a free platform. You got two HBCUs on
it's at 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay. It's right before us.
Yeah, so the thing is,
but it's
Texas Southern was not a great program last year, right? So you got to look at the game too, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't see more people watching Texas Southern versus North Carolina Central than Alabama A&M versus Howard, which is on a platform that's readily accessible, right? You know what I'm saying? So I definitely don't see it doing better numbers of that. And then again, the intrigue of the reality is, right, there are people who just want to see Prairie View lose to Tarleton by a lot. They gonna also watch this game.
Yeah, they'll be tuned in.
Which game is more intriguing this ain't about just saying it because I'm from Prairie View, right? Texas Southern and North Carolina Central is not an intriguing game. Definitely not more than Tarleton versus Prairie View.
Again, with all due respect, that's a Chitlin Circuit matchup, and Prairie View is not. This matchup is not a.
It shouldn't be though. I would say it shouldn't be a Chitlin Circuit matchup because Texas Southern is in the same region as Prairie View. Texas Southern has the ability and should. Now they don't have the same stuff in place as far as facilities and stuff. Obviously, that's the whole reason, right? But they should be able to maintain a quality program at Texas Southern. So that should be a good game, though.
Now I agree. They have,
should be good.
They have arguably one of the top 3 best coaches in HBCU football, no doubt, with Trey Oliver. But based on the fact you're playing the game at a high school stadium, I mean, what does TSU think of the game?
I mean, well, the thing is, but they can't get it at Shell Energy Stadium. That's the thing. So
come on, there's Rice. There are other stadiums in Houston.
Well, I don't even. Does Rice have a home game? Right? Like I don't know. I mean, you can't just say, well, you can go to Sam Houston or you can go to Rice, because those programs also either have a game or maybe they're preparing for a game. I don't know. We have to look that up. You know what I'm saying?
It says Rice got a game.
No, he asked a question. I'll look it up real quick. Give me a second. I mean, Yeah, but the game itself is not intriguing. Regardless, listen, that game could be. This is the reality though, Rocky. Because I heard you even on the you on the other network, and you was asking them when they was talking about the stadium, like, have you seen Texas stadiums? The reality is the stadium fit 10,000 people, and it's a nice stadium.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, right?
For sure,
it is a nice stadium. And now Texas Southern should be playing games at a high school stadium, but it is a nice stadium, and it sits 10,000 people. That may sit more than North Carolina Central Stadium. Like, let's be clear, okay? So that's the facts. So it ain't like the stadium bad or something, but the game is just not intrigued. That's just the reality. To me, it ain't just the stadium. They could play that game at the same stadium, and if Texas Southern had if this is the Andrew Body Texas Southern team from, say, 2 years ago when they was coming off and they believe they had a chance to win that next year, it would be we would have a different conversation. Because people would actually like the game. They would say, man, that is going to be a good game.
Yeah, they want to see who's in it. Yeah.
And I think it matters more than people say. See, people keep saying about all these D2 and all this stuff don't matter and stuff, man. I still think that a lot of people like quality games. Like, we talking like this, but when the season start, we know the games we want to watch. We know we want to see Jackson State versus Alabama State. We already know these things, right?
But here's in my mind. If North Carolina Central is going to come this far, I think them coming to play Grambling would have been a much better game, in my opinion. Now, I'm no matchmaker, but I just think
they're not coming because of Texas Southern or for Grambling, though. They're coming to go to the Texas high schools. Okay, let's be clear. Okay, the game is set up so Trey Oliver can come here 3 days early and walk through.
He's coming out here looking.
That's the reason. So he don't need to go. He don't want to go to Louisiana. He's not spending time.
He got Chris Mosley out of Crowley, and so
he went to Crowley. Oh man, okay.
That's why they coming. Like, let's be clear.
That's why.
Yeah, he actually went to Crowley, and then he went to Cisco Junior College.
Oh, Cisco. Yep.
Yeah. So we kind of let him get away.
All right. So with Rice, you said Rice University. Let's see. Now, Rice don't got no game on that day. Rice don't have a game on that day. So.
But that's not real far from Texas Southern. Could have went there.
Yeah, but maybe Rice don't want them to use their stadium.
Well,
Rice just saw how people just tore up U of A stadium. They're like, man, we ain't letting no black people use our stadium.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me see. They first game against Houston Christian is September 5th. So, So I guess, but again, like somebody said, right? How much would it cost though? And how much was Aldine?
So do anybody know if this is a one game matchup?
I believe so, because Central just played East Texas A&M, and I think that was a standoff game, right? You got to think, right? Central is a little bit different. They don't necessarily. Do you necessarily need East Texas A&M to come to you at home? They're not bringing no fans, right? There's no benefit to you having them come to the crib.
So this game comes out of their recruiting budget, is what you're saying. For UNC Central,
pretty much.
That's a good question. I mean, maybe Texas Southern has to pay them a fee for the game. I'm not sure how that works. That's a good question to find out, though. But it's definitely not a home and home. It's just a straight away game. But again, that's in Central's. That's what Central's seeking to do. I think same way like Mr. Moore said, right, in the SWAC, right, Southern right plays the Southland schools is kind of in their region. Well, North Carolina Central, it makes more sense for them to go play a North Carolina school that's in, or a CAA school, or a team that's in the OVC, it's in Big South Conference as a home and home matchup versus a school way down in Texas. Like, it's, it doesn't make sense. And again, they're not benefiting Central anyway, because Central doesn't necessarily average 10,000 fans at home in the first place, right? Neither is the schools going to be bringing any type of fans. So there's literally no benefit for them to have those that home and home.
Yeah, that way. Yeah, but like I said, I think the Texas Southern Central game is for the HBCU fans. It's not, you know what I mean? it's not a compelling football matchup.
Nobody's watching that game. But it's gonna be that game, because it's gonna be broadcast on the Grio, which also is gonna be like, over some linear channels. It should do some okay numbers, right? But I don't think it's gonna be anywhere close. It's definitely not gonna be anywhere close to MEAC SWAC Challenge because it's on ABC. And I don't think it's gonna be anywhere close to the ESPN2 game either, or the ESPNU Alabama State and Southern game. Like, those games are going to do way more numbers because they're just also in more intriguing matchups. And it's at 7, right? So you got to think, you got the 6 a.m. game, 6 p.m. game, which is the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Plus, you also have a couple other trickle of FBS games that's not as intriguing, and then also you got the last game, right? That's more intriguing too. Right. So again, which one do you rather watch? It's just
I might flip through that one.
I've been to the SWAC MEAC Challenge the last couple of years. I actually enjoyed the games, and I actually enjoyed the matchups. This matchup I didn't think was that intriguing, and I'm so happy that about 70 miles from my front door, I'll be able to go see Prairie View play Charleston State.
Oh man, listen, and the fact that it's a primetime 8 a.m. slot, bro, because I was thinking this was gonna be earlier on. You know what I'm saying? So the fact they put it at night to me is actually really perfect. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that a lot of those Dallas PV alum, Houston PV alum get in their cars and drive up there. I know we have a nice contingency, so it's going to be cool. But also Tarleton, they pack it out. I like Tarleton also packs out their games. It's going to be a great atmosphere.
I think Stephenville is maybe an hour and a half from Fort Worth, maybe an hour. I don't know.
West of Fort Worth. I think that's where it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's matter of fact, when FAMU played Tarleton in basketball, there were some Dallas area alumni that drove over to see FAMU play Tarleton. Me and my good friend, we went over there to watch FAMU play in men's basketball. So it's like I say, and Tarleton has a really, really nice stadium, and it's really easy to get in and out in their campus and off.
And they pack it out, so it's gonna be great, man. It's gonna be 20,000+ there. I think they stayed in fits around like 27. I want to say something like that. So it's gonna be nice, man. It's gonna be great, and with the intrigue of the matchup, on ESPN2, it's gonna be powerful, man. So with that said, though, man, I appreciate you guys for jumping on. I want to remind y'all, man, we got some more deep dives coming. Again, we're gonna be doing some of our current players like Rodney Ojo. Looking at the year that they had, right. Looking at ways they're going to be able to contribute this year upcoming. And we also going to be talking about, again, some SWAC related stuff too as well. Top offensive linemen returning, some top linebackers, running backs, etc. So make sure you guys are tuned in for that. Mr. Bauer said he definitely going to be there.
Anna, did you do a spring game report of any significance, or you keep?
Yeah, we talked about the spring game. I think that's Sunday afterwards.
Did the quarterback situation come out the way it went in?
I think it came out the way it went in, but I mean the quarterback room is completely revamped now, right? I mean, you're talking about now having 4 guys in the quarterback room that all started last year, like have starting time from last year. So it's a completely different room going into summer camp, right? Like Coach Jackson said, there's a spring team, there's a summer team, and there's a fall team. So you got Tevin Carter, Caden Smith, Preston Brown, and Des Thomas, right? All those guys started last year at their respective programs. So but that's what you got to do. You see Tarleton, who got 3 guys coming in who all were starters from their respective programs. I mean, you got to have that type of competition in your room, and let the best man win. So it makes sense, man.
So nothing was settled going into coming out of spring ball as far as the quarterback position.
Well, I think from the coach's standpoint, they're going to say that nothing's settled yet, right? They're waiting to see whoever wins the team, right? Who doesn't turn the ball over. Now, Coach Jackson definitely mentioned that Tevin Carter had 0 turnovers throughout the whole entire spring, right? The only interception he had was the one tip ball interception that happened in the spring game, right? So, that was something that definitely, he spoke about, after it was over. And, so I think obviously Tevin Carter is in that driving position. He's definitely there and has a chance to win that role and kind of shut the door right through summer and through fall camp. But again, you bring in, You got Des Thomas, who was there during the spring camp, right? Came from Georgetown. Played all last season, right, as a starter for Georgetown. Beat Morgan State on that long Hail Mary. And then you just brought in Preston Brown, who was a Harlan Hill Award nominee, coming from Catawba, who was which is the D2 Heisman. And then you brought in Caden Smith, who I think started 6 games last year at Albany State, which had a good season. And that the quarterback who started before him that ended up getting hurt was a guy who went to Arkansas, right? So who just went to Arkansas this year. So you brought in, you got 4 guys there who all got starting experience. 2 of those guys wasn't in camp with you. So again, it's a completely new competition now in the summer, right? Whatever happened in the spring don't even matter no more because you got 2 completely new guys there. And then, and I forgot, I'm not mentioning Tyler Nelson, right, who also had.
Oh, yeah, Tyler Nelson. Yeah, can't forget him.
So you got multiple guys there, but those four guys have starting experience. That's why I was mentioning them, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you also got Tyler Nelson there as well, who came out of JUCO with good numbers. So it's gonna be again, how everything is done, man. Everything is starting from scratch, EA. So it don't matter what you were last year, it don't matter where you started last year. When you come back in the spring, you gotta win your roll over. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how they do it. But again, if you say coming out of spring, like I say, Tevin Carter, I was in prime pole position, but there's still a spring and fall to go through. And, you got to get through that in order to finish wrapping it up. But the good thing is this, right? Over the last, 5-6 years, there's only been, I think, one team that I remember, and that was a FAMU team that only played one quarterback throughout their season. So in the SWAC, the teams that's won the championship, they played 2 quarterbacks throughout the year. So at the end of the day, you're going to need 2 guys minimally, right? Because teams have played 2 quarterbacks, and those quarterbacks have to win games for them. So It is what it is.
Last year, I think the only team that didn't start off the season sharing time at quarterback was Alabama State. I think all the other programs in the SWAC had some type of quarterback sharing situation early on in the season, if I recall inaccurate.
Yeah, and that was just them learning from the year before, because the year before they were starting. And I see Keep It Up fam in the comments, man. I ain't seen Keep It Up fam here since he was talking about how Jackson State had a mental edge over Prairie View A&M, and then he disappeared after the SWAC championship game. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because you've been absent, my guy. Like, where have you been? You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Any last words you guys got, man? Because we're gonna get out of here. It's 11 o'clock. I know people got to get to bed and get to work in the morning. So any last words you guys got, before we get out of here?
No, it's always a good time, Lionel, being on PV versus everybody, man. And I can't wait. And like you said, I can't wait till this season to get started. And people won't have to look. You won't have to look hard to figure out how to find Prairie View. They'll be all over your screen this upcoming fall, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And I like Edwin's comment. Yeah, it's hard to get through without a quarterback missing some games. But our quarterback didn't miss games because he got hurt. It was just some matchup and made some changes. But I don't know everybody else, but at Prairie View, the starting quarterback is live in practice. So I don't know if that attributed to him not getting hurt, but they get a chance to feel the pain in practice and not wait till the game. So looking forward to the season and looking forward to the summer team. I think I'm having a lot of anticipation with this team because I've never seen us have 103 guys in spring camp. And then they're going to have a full allotment of guys in summer camp as well. And we've never had that kind of head start. I'm really interested to see how it comes together.
No, it's definitely gonna be good, man. I can't wait till the season gets started. I think there's so much intrigue that's gonna be coming up this year. So many games that I'm interested to see, and so many teams I'm interested to see like how it gets rolling. But only time will tell, man. You know what I mean, when we roll the ball out there. So again, we appreciate you guys coming on. Again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, listen, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We got some great things coming. We got a lot of ball talk we're gonna be doing, man. You know, we got a lot of film that we got a chance to break down. We're gonna break down this film because your boy had to go find. I had to go scratch and claw to find it. So we're gonna squeeze all this film. Okay, we're gonna use all of it. All right. So you'll be seeing a lot more of that from here. So if you like to see some film breakdowns, man, and talk ball, you need to be clocked in here with P versus everybody. All right. So again, with that said, I'll holler at y'all, man. See y'all later.
Peace.